Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment, Successory Agency Financing Authority, open session 6:31. Call to order, roll call.
Mayor Gloria Romo,
Here.
Councilmember Javier Moreno,
Here.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilberto Manzanares, and Councilmember Raul Rueña are absent.
Okay. Pledge of allegiance. Ready? Thank you. Invocation, Mr. Moreno?
Thank you, Mayor Romo. Please bow our heads. Heavenly Father, on behalf of all who are gathered here tonight, thank you for your many abundant blessings. I pray for the agenda before us today. Give us the assurance that the decisions we make tonight will be for the benefit of those who live and work in our beloved city of Calexico. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Closed session announcement?
Thank you, Mayor. We had one item closed session this evening, received direction, but no reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before voting, Ms. Colio will add an emergency item to the agenda?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, before you, staff is proposing adding to the agenda an urgency item. It's approval of resolution for additional community development block grant for coronavirus funding to the California Department of Housing and Community Development in the amount of $500,000 for the rehabilitation to Fire Station Number 2. The request is to add this item number 13A to today's agenda.
Also, Mayor, as a point of order, I'd like to also, it's a point of reference for item number 18. It's an item of non-municipal matter. It shouldn't be here in the agenda. So for consideration of this board to remove that item for those reasons. United Nations already has that to the foreign policy with the federal government issue. So it would be something that's non-municipal matter.
And for 18?
Item 18, right. I believe there's a municipal code that allows city council to only hear and decide on matters of jurisdiction that affects the city. Therefore, item 18 is not municipal matter and shouldn't be on the agenda for those reasons. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Attorney.
Legally, it can remain on the agenda. I mean, there are distinctions between municipal affairs and statewide affairs in the legal context, but in terms of this item, it is an item that City Council could take action on.
But
Okay.
we have the 12 public comment in favor for the 18.
Sure, I understand it, but before we do that, we should vote on it. I make a motion to take that item 18 because it's non-municipal matter. It doesn't, not part of a jurisdiction.
Okay, what is your motion?
I make a motion to remove item 18.
18, and add other item?
Or maybe let's take these items separately. That way,
Right. Okay.
Okay,
Anybody want to second that? Okay.
second. Roll call?
Mayor Gloria Romo,
No.
Councilmember Javier Moreno,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia, both Mayor Pro Tem Gilberto Manzanares and Councilmember Raul Rueña are absent.
Okay. Is here Raul Ureña?
So
Okay,
what was
other
the
motion?
vote? What was the final?
Other motion?
Motion was 2-1.
Okay, so we did it.
we also have the urgency item of added as item 13A, the grant regarding the coronavirus funding, as well, to add that to the item.
And that's 500, excuse me, that's $500,000?
Correct.
And that is to be allocated or for what?
No.
It's to add.
The request is for a resolution to be approved for an application that I submitted on Monday to the Housing and Community Development for additional $500,000 grant.
The
So
Okay.
I move to
Yes,
add,
it's just an addition, but the application deadline was Monday, and so I submitted the application, but it requires a resolution to be processed. The state of California has given me the opportunity to request, because they knew that we have council member meeting until Wednesday.
wait for that staff report, that's part of the staff report. So
Yes.
I move to add that item as an
Okay.
emergency item on 13-8.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll second that motion.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Coley.
What was the motion?
To add that item.
To add an item.
What was the result of the motion on item 18?
It's not
2-1.
What's that?
2-1 to remove the item.
Okay, sounds good.
okay.
You ready for the vote?
Proceed.
Mayor Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno,
Yes.
Councilmember Raul Ureña,
No.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Manzanares
This
is
is
absent.
for the number 13, additional $500,000. Okay.
Thank you.
13. Okay, presentation. Okay. Proclamation of observance, first, observe Arbor Day.
Sure.
Madam Mayor, I apologize for forgetting about an item that was requested by the Chief of Police, and it's National Week for Dispatchers, and it's a resolution and recognition, so I would like to add that one to the agenda if it's possible. Please, I apologize for not bringing it before.
Okay, so you're asking to put an item, agenda in addition to the one you already put, right? And what were
Yes,
you?
sir.
In what order you want that? What
And
number?
the during
Presentations.
presentations,
Presentations?
please?
Okay.
Yes,
So move.
All right, so move, yeah.
just to recognize the dispatchers.
Thank you. Do we need to
We
vote
vote?
again, right?
Yes.
Ms. Campos?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo,
Yes.
Councilmember Raul Ureña,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Second, proclamation.
Okay. Proclamation honoring Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious by wind and water, cutting and cooling cause moderate temperatures, cleaning the air, producing life, giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our cities increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of our businesses, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they're planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the city of Calexico joins Imperial Irrigation District and San Diego State University, Imperial Valley to plant trees in Calexico that help create community green areas and help improve the quality of life in the gateway in Mexico, or to Mexico. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Calexico City Council do hereby proclaim Friday, April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of Calexico and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and further be resolved and urge citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness whereof, signed Mayor Gloria G. Romo. Javier Gonzalez, our tree guy right here. So if you could just say a few words.
Yes, I want to thank the city council. It's been several years that we've let the Arbor Day Arbor Day event at San Diego State, and now myself at IID, we've joined forces with San Diego State. If you know, IID created a free tree program. Everybody gets a free tree. They're starting to give out trees to nonprofits. The Housing Authority received some trees. So this Saturday, IID will be celebrating its second annual Earth Day celebration at the Casa de Mañana in Imperial Fairgrounds. It's going to be a great event. All the kids from schools have been invited. We're working hard to create an environment where it's green, it's cool, where we have birds. Trees can give us a lot of benefits, and we've been planting trees for a long time, and many of them die in Calexico. So we're not planting that many, but we're planting several at San Diego State, several at John F. Kennedy this year, and we hope that even if it's 5, 10, or 20, that they all grow to maturity. We need trees in Calexico. We need trees in the world. As you know, the summer is coming, and sometimes the kids don't have the swimming pool, and sometimes they can just stay cool under the trees. So I want to thank San Diego State University. I want to welcome you and invite you to our event. It's an IID San Diego State University event, but for the city of Calexico, we'll be there. We'll read the proclamation again. Imperial County will bring its air control district mascot, which is Air Justice. Will be there joining Dippy Duck. So join us and have a picture with Dippy Duck planting trees this Friday. Next Friday, April 26th at 11 a.m. at San Diego State. And remember this Saturday, Earth Day at Casa de la Mañana in Imperial. It's IID's event. So thank you very much for the proclamation, and let's work together to make Calexico greener.
Yeah, Mr. Gonzalez, thank you very much for your and let me tell you, the citizens of Calexico, since 1872, Sterling Morton was member of he was a citizen of Nebraska and proposed to the Department of Agriculture to plant 1 million trees, and since then has grown globally. So thank you for your service. Thank you for Calexico. Thank you for planting trees.
I just want to let you know that the office of Eduardo Garcia will be there. The office of our senator, county supervisors will be there. We invited ICTC, just about every city, to join us because this is a county-wide event, and IID is planting a lot of trees throughout the valley. It's not just Calexico. Every director is having their own little event, so we're in Calexico and we're doing our own little events with San Diego State. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now we have another proclamation, and this is actually something that I received a few emails from childcare providers, and those are lifesavers. All of us that have had the luck of having children, we always look for those childcare providers that take care of our kids and our children. So again, because of that, and because of the work that they do, this is just to honor them and remember and honor the work that they do day in, day out. So proclamation provider appreciation day. Whereas child care aware of America and other organizations nationwide are recognizing child care providers on this day. Whereas child care has provided a safe, nurturing place for the enrichment and development of millions of children nationwide and is a vital force in our economy. And whereas the pandemic illuminated how indispensable child care providers are for the well-being and economic security of young children, families, and communities, and whereas child care programs, which are mostly small businesses run and staffed predominantly by women, continue to recover from the health and financial hardships stemming from the pandemic to meet the needs of more families. And whereas the city of Calexico recognizes that child care has been and continues to be a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy, as such, it has provided much needed support to providers to help sustain the viability of child care. And whereas the future depends of the quality of the early childhood experience provided to young children today, support for high-quality childcare represents worthy commitment to our children's future. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Calexico hereby proclaim May 10, 2024 as Provider Appreciation Day in the City of Calexico, and urge all citizens to recognize childcare providers for their important work and how valuable they are for our communities. In witness whereof, Gloria G. Romo, Mayor, City of Calexico, signs this proclamation. So, and now I'm going to invite one of our local childcare providers, Ms. Annette Carrillo. If you can come up, and if there's any other childcare provider here, you want to come up? I know there were other 2 or 3 providers that emailed, so if they're here, please join us. And if not, your grandparents also, I know they're the default childcare providers. You're also honored.
Yeah, we're also talking about nannies, childcare, educators, teachers, anybody involved with children or care providers.
Buenas tardes. Nuevamente, mi nombre es Annette Carrillo y le quiero dar las gracias a la ciudad de Calexico por este reconocimiento que lo recibo en nombre mío y todas las proveedoras infantiles que tenemos aquí no solo en Calexico, sino todo en el Valle Imperial. Muchas gracias. Voy a extender esto que tengo en mis manos para todas ellas. Gracias por reconocer nuestro trabajo. Trabajamos muy duro mientras todas las escuelas estuvieron cerradas en la pandemia. La verdad que nos sentimos, fue un privilegio para nosotros poder extender nuestros hogares a todas las familias de trabajadores esenciales como doctores, policías, personas que tenían que estar afuera en el área laboral, y alguien tenía que estar a cargo de los niños pequeños, y en este lugar nos tocó a nosotros y lo hicimos con mucho amor, con miedo, porque no sabíamos lo que era la pandemia. Sobrevivimos y aquí estamos. Muchas gracias.
Mayoral recognition to Antonio Tony Dominguez. Okay. For your 35 years of service to Calexico community, distributing El Lechugón magazine to the Hispanic community free of charge, we recognize your valuable contribution. Gloria G. Romo, April 17, 2024. Tony?
Hasta 35 años se dice algo práctico. Yo agradezco primeramente a Dios, en segundo lugar, comerciante de Calexico, ya que el semanario es totalmente gratuito, patrocinado por los comerciantes, a mi esposa, que tengo 34 años casado con ella, y a los lectores. Está viendo mis estadísticas, sería de la mañana. Hasta ahorita se han impreso 17.7 millones de revistas en 35 años, que significa algo bastante fuerte que se ha podido leer. El lechugón, ¿qué es el lechugón? Algo rapidito. Yo quise identificar el periódico con un personaje que estuviera señalando muchas injusticias a través de una caricatura para que toda la gente lo siguiera. Y en esa época, en los años de oro, cuando teníamos muchos supermercados en downtown, cuando todo nos iba bien, a las personas que les iba mejor en el campo eran los lechugueros. Entonces creamos el monito que se llamaba el lechugón, que era un monito igualito a un emigrado que cruzaba todos los días la línea internacional, todos los días a Calexico, y siempre renegaba de las injusticias por parte de autoridades americanas como de inmigración. Y ahí es donde nace el nombre del lechugón. El lechugón es un monito que se identifica con la comunidad del Valle Imperial, de la gente que trabaja en el campo. Muchísimas gracias a todos los lectores que han hecho posible 35 años. Gracias.
Tony, compañeros tuyos, periodistas, me hicieron llegar de Baja California una extensa felicitación. Son varios, podría omitir a alguno, sobre todo Rafael Mendoza Madrid, que te envían felicitaciones y que has colaborado con mucha gente, no solamente en Mexicali, sino también aquí en el Valle Imperial. Creo que te tienen por ahí una sorpresa, pero te mandan decir a través de mi palabra que te felicitan y que se sienten muy honrados ellos de que tú en este momento estés recibiendo este reconocimiento, Tony. Okay.
Can I say something?
¿Algo quiere hablar?
Sí, gracias. Tony, yo te conozco por muchos años también y yo sé tu historia cuando recién empezaste, si andabas prácticamente vendiendo una revista y que nadie quería que es lechugón y todo eso, entiendo, y para mí es un honor estar ahorita, este día, este reconocimiento, y creo que tu familia también está muy orgullosa de ti y van a venir cosas buenas para el municipio. No voy a decir mucho, pero sí vamos a restablecer lo que es el centro comunitario para los campesinos y queremos que tú nos ayudes con esta revista también, y muchas gracias.
Okay, next, City of Calexico, mayoral recognition to Estela Jimenez for your exceptional experience working governmental entities and non-governmental organizations specializing in public policy, and now serves as district director for the Palm Desert Office for the California 36th Congressional District. Thank you, Estela Jiménez, por todo tu
Unas palabras, mayor. Unas palabras para Estela. Estela, pues muchas felicidades en tu reconocimiento. Yo sé que eres de Calexico y nos representas a niveles del Estado también. Y gracias por tu esfuerzo y por tu servicio comunitario, ¿no? Para esta ciudad que, pues como sabes que tú eres la voz que nos llevas al Capitolio. Muchas gracias y felicidades.
También, Estela, muchas gracias por todo lo que has hecho, ¿verdad? Es un trabajo, de verdad que es, pues fuiste de la Asamblea al Congreso, ¿no? Y me ha tocado de poder, pues acudir a ti y siempre has estado ahí para ayudar. I know that you have always answered emails, you know, especially when we're asking for something. So, and you always say no. So I think you really and truly encompass, you know, what it means to be a public service. So thank you, and congratulations on this recognition.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to Mayor Romo and the council for this recognition. It truly is humbling. I am very passionate about my work, currently serving as District Director for Congressman Raul Ruiz. I continue to serve my community, not just the city of Calexico, but Imperial County as a whole and the district, 25th Congressional District. It's an honor. I have the opportunity to flag funding. I have the opportunity to be creative, to be able to bring funding to our district. I have the privilege to help our constituents, and that has become a passion of mine. And my passion is there and will continue. And I really want to say, again, thank you all for this recognition. I'm very humbled. Thank you.
Presentation by Gil Rebollar.
There's one more.
The presentation for, if you want to,
Transforming local government.
Ms. Romo, can I have the dispatchers first before the presentation?
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So
Gil, don't kill me. Sorry. Chief Orozco is going to be presenting.
okay.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council and citizens of Calexico, I stand before you today with a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for our dedicated dispatchers. This week, as we observe Dispatcher Appreciation Week, it is crucial that we acknowledge the tremendous work that they do, often under challenging circumstances. Our dispatchers are the unsung heroes of our community. They are the first point of contact in times of crisis, the calming voice on the other end of the line, and the lifeline to our first responders. Despite facing immense pressure and stress, they remain steadfast in their commitment to serving and protecting our city. We must also recognize the challenges of our dispatchers sometimes face, including short staffing, that this can place additional strains on the already demanding job. Yet our dispatchers continue to perform their duties with professionalism and dedication. To our dispatchers, I want to express my deepest gratitude. Your work is invaluable, and the entire community is grateful for your service. Your commitment and excellence is an inspiration to us all. To the City Council and citizens of Calexico, I urge you to join me in showing our appreciation to our dispatchers. Let us take this opportunity to thank them for their hard work and dedication. Let us also commit to supporting them in any way we can, whether through increased resources or simply kind words of thanks. In conclusion, I want to emphasize my sincere appreciation for our dispatchers. Your hard work, dedication do not go unnoticed, and we genuinely grateful for everything you do to serve our community. Let us continue to work together to ensure safety of our residents. Veronica, Carmen, Griselda, Leo, Iracema, Yamilet, Alejandra, and Cecilia, thank you. I'd like to call Ms. Valenzuela, our dispatch supervisor, to receive a certificate of appreciation.
Good evening. Just wanted to say thank you for everybody that's here tonight, and it's an honor to serve to be a first responder for the city of Calexico. And I'm very proud of my team, that I only have one and they're part of my team, but the others are working or off and sleeping. Thank you.
So unfortunately, when you call 911, these are the common voices that you hear. So these are the ones that take over and they become the angels that we need in times of, need. So again, a round of applause again for them.
May I say a few words? Yes. So every year, April 14th to the 20th, we celebrate National Public Safety Week, right? But it shouldn't be every year for a couple of days. It should be every day. So on behalf of the City Council and the city that we represent, congratulations on the hard work we do. Yes, it should be celebrated every day. Congratulations again. Okay.
All these changes to the agenda, I wasn't sure. No, I'm kidding. Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. Before I begin, I do want to, if I may, share a quick little story. I know I shared this with Councilmember Garcia, and he's like, go share it. I don't think he believed me, but I recently got a promotion at my job, and I told my preteen daughter, I told her, hey, when I get my first check, I'm going to take you shopping, wherever you want. And so the day came, Friday came, and then Friday payday, and then Saturday morning, and I go, where do you want to go? And I'm thinking she'll say Palm Desert, maybe Yuma, maybe San Diego. I don't drive, but if she wants to, maybe the mall, Grand Plaza. But she chose downtown Calexico. And I'm not lying. You probably, you're such a slick politician.
Exactly.
No.
So you don't mind.
And I'll tell you why. And because you might not believe me, but you guys have a really great. And I go a lot. Shout out to the Bins, Habibi's, Edie's Fashion. I get my dress shirts there. So I've taken her before, so she knew. But downtown Calexico has a variety of Pro Club. It's this brand called Pro Club, and I guess that's in right now, so she loves it, and affordable prices, sneakers, and she really likes the jeans with like the designs on the pockets. So it's not my style, but what she wants, she gets. So you guys on that, you're downtown. I travel a lot across the state through work or through my role as an elected official, and I've been to a lot of downtowns, and many of them are struggling. Or outright just dead, and they don't have anything near the foot traffic you guys have in your downtown. I think that's something to appreciate, to cultivate, really building that relationship between the people that are going through that poor, the small business owners in downtown, their customers in the city. I think you can really build a symbiotic relationship between all those, and you can really, the potential is there to build a really vibrant and unique downtown, and I see it when I come, on Saturday or sometimes even Sundays. And so I just really wanted to share that story because I really enjoyed downtown and seeing what's going on and seeing how I can, model some of what I'm doing in my city. So shout out to your downtown. And every downtown has their issues and whatnot, but you guys have a lot of potential in yours. So just want to share that. So my presentation tonight is, it's called Transforming Local Government, and it's by the way, my name is Gil Rebler. I'm a council member for the city of Brawley. I serve also on the Southern California Association of Governments Regional Council. And my presentation I titled Transforming Local Government. It's an initiative started by an initiative called Local Government 2030, which I'll be sharing more about.
We'll get there, Mr. Lopez.
No worries. I understand technical. We have it in Brawley. We have it at the county. We have it all the time. Yeah, I get it.
But thank you for the kind words about our downtown and coming down to bring some revenue to our city. So
Hey.
please visit
Don't get me started on those meters. No, I'm kidding.
Well, let's just stop the conversation.
No, as I said, there's a lot of, you can discover a lot here downtown. You really can. And so, Erica, here we go. Transforming local government. I will. And if we can. If we go to the next slide. Before we begin, I do want to start off with this quote: "The work of government is noble. The people of government are amazing. The systems of government are often a mess. Public service and being in the public sector is a noble profession." You know, I know a lot of the attention sometimes gets on the elected officials, but it's the people that are working day in, day out that are making sure this thing functions. Sometimes with very little pay, sometimes very low recognition, often a thankless job, dealing with a lot, and the work is, like I said, is noble, and the people are amazing, but the systems are often a mess, and it makes sense. On paper, it doesn't make sense how this thing functions. We give money once a month, once a year, and then in return, I think we take it for granted that we can flip the light switch on and power comes on, or we turn that water on and clean water will come out, or we put our trash out, and yet it always functions. And the city, local government is like the body, right? Just because we go to sleep, it doesn't mean our heart stops beating. It's still functioning and still working, and so the people are what make this thing function. Despite the chaos, despite everything that goes behind the scenes, it's the people that make this local government especially operate. And so I just want to preface this presentation with that. Next slide, please. So local government, like I said, what led to that? So Americans' trust in government were hitting all-time lows. And I know people talk about COVID, but this has been building since the early 60s. Trust in government has been declining for decades. And although it's from federal to state to local, at the local level you feel it the most. I think because we're neighbors, we're residents, we see each other, so this trust in government was hitting all-time lows. And I think we see that play out with social media and the polarization. And I think whatever side you're on, whatever politics, ideology, I think this stems from that trust hitting all-time lows. And so not only was trust in government low from the outside, internally public employee morale has also been on the decline. And so a recent survey interviewed public and private sector employees of comparing what their workplace was like before COVID and now. And 50%, or 2/3 of private sector employees said it was better or the same, whereas the public sector, half said it was worse, and less than 1/5 said it was better. And so when you have externally that trust low, and then internally, employee morale, like I said, these are issues across the country. It doesn't seem as if local government is working. It's not working for the people we serve. It's not working for the people we employ. And so what does that mean for the future? Because, we do need government to help, like I said, to make sure the essentials are up and operating. So next slide, please. So this is all led to Local Government 2030. So Local Government 2030, in 2019, the National Academy of Public Administration issued a call to all government professionals to address the grand challenges facing our nation. They saw this coming and wanted to get input. In 2020, an ad hoc group of local government professionals around the country started meeting to develop actionable projects to meet these grand challenges. Then 2021 hit, obviously that was a pandemic, so it got put on hold, but in 2022, 51 local government officials, delegates, and representatives from over 25 professional associations convened in Omaha, Nebraska to reimagine the field of public administration. And one thing about these 51 selected individuals, it wasn't a first come, first served basis. They were specifically selected because one thing that they identified was that for far too often in the public sector, we work in silos. You know, where despite it all being connected, you know, in recent years, your IT, especially after COVID, your IT is connected to every department, even more so with law enforcement, whereas that might not have been the case, you know, a decade ago. And your public works is connected with your planning, your finance, everything, parks and rec with the community, even communication. So, but oftentimes you do work in those silos. And for example, when your city manager or when your city manager goes to a conference, usually it's only city managers. When we go to city council members to conferences, it's only city council members, despite it all being working together. It's all connecting. And so these 51 officials span the entire spectrum of public service employees, from city managers to librarians to clerks to firefighters to law enforcement. They really wanted to get that diverse spectrum of employees to really show we can collaborate and build a cohesive unit to really how we can make this thing function. And so this gathering was modeled after the Minnow Brook conferences in 1968, which is kind of the same issues. How can we improve, how can we make local government more effective and efficient for the people we serve? And then in 1988 they reconvened, and then 2008. And I think you're seeing these 20-year increments, and as we approach 2028 we're now having this conversation. I think it makes sense. Times change, you have to adapt, you have to evolve, new generation, new technology. And so I think we're entering that where we need to just, as I said, shake things up as they did here. Next slide, please. So in 2023, the delegates spent the year working on 3 actionable objectives: growing a resilient workforce, promised pathways, and the communication continuum. And then in 2024, the delegates, those 51 delegates, in addition to 10 elected officials from across the country, me being one of them, I was the only one from California, and I think that's such like a politician thing. We came in at the end after all the work's been done and took the credit. And so where's our ribbon to cut? No, and so we came in, but we also came in to provide that perspective from the policy and political side. And they understood, all those employees understood that things go before, the board ultimately has a final say. They can work on all these things, but boards and the governing bodies, you know, will decide if it can be implemented or not. So they brought us in to really give that perspective. In addition to that, also to champion these things. One thing about public sector employees is, as much as we'd like to go out to these things, most of the time we're just trying to stay in our office to make sure things stay afloat. You know, it's tough. And as elected officials, we're here twice a month, maybe more. But you know, we were brought on also to do our part and share what we learned with other elected officials, other governing bodies, to really help them as local governments across the country are struggling. You know, one thing I do want to share is, you know, I was with so many officials from across the country, and the issues with mistrust, the issues with employee morale, those are felt across the country. It didn't matter the state, red state, blue state, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican. You know, I spoke with officials from Florida to Texas to Oregon to Illinois, and it was so many of the same issues. And so, you know, cross-political ideologies, local governments are really struggling on how we can better serve the people. I said, regardless of who's governor, regardless of the political party in power, these issues are felt everywhere. So the next slide is growing a resilient workforce. You know, we need to recruit, retain, and grow talented employees now and for the future. And we really need to make local government an employer of choice. I think in recent decades, because of mistrust, because of morale, it's lost some of that luster, you know, where you want to go work. And so how do we, you know, address the idealism versus reality, right? Sometimes we learn what really is government, and what are you doing? And you know, modernize and revigorate public service, really humanize it by connecting individuals to meaningful work. You know, really telling the story of what government does for the people. not just with your own staff, but even externally. You know, the person that's putting numbers in an Excel sheet, you know, that might mean the budget can balance. And if the budget balances, then you can provide these services. And if you can provide these services, then the people are served. And so, you know, what might seem menial, just, you know, putting numbers in or whatnot, does serve a purpose. And how do you share that, like, with your staff as well as with your community? And one other thing is also self-assessment. You know, you could be informal or formal, but really gathering, whether it's council and workshops, council and administration, department heads, employees, or even internal office, or even with the public, you know, that self-assessment, where are our strengths, where are our weaknesses, how can we improve, how can we be better, and what do we need to work on? And so, like I said, you can do it formally, informally, once a month, you know, or for a third party, you can even bring a third party in, or you can do it in-house. And so, another thing about the retention, right? We're all struggling to how to recruit, how do we hire? The same. I know I've heard Calexico has issues hiring people. So do we in Brawley. You know, so do we across local governments across the country are having these issues of retention and hiring and making sure benefits are aligned. You have a new crop of workforce coming in, and their benefits, what they seem as benefits, might be different from previous. Also addressing the compassion fatigue, right? The public servants and local government employees are serving. It could be tough, and being honest and open, and come to mental health and ensuring your staff is taken care of. The trust issues, sometimes it's not with the public, sometimes it's internally, and being open and honest about that, as well as a work-life balance. So many local government employees take their work home, and how do we really make that line of when you're home, and when you're with your family, and you don't have to answer that email or pick up that call. So sometimes. The next slide is Promised Pathways. This envisions local governments repairing communities through fair chance hiring, family support, and systemic reform. Local governments struggle to be seen as competitive and attractive employers. Once again, that employer of choice. How do we make it where people want, where you put a job opening and you get a wide range of applicants where you don't know who to select? And so, because in 2022, job vacancy rates were the highest in local government they've been in 20 years. These vacancy issues are, once again, across everywhere. Now, this next fact may seem random, but I'll tie it together. At the same time, 1 in 3 American adults have some form of criminal record. So on one hand, you can't fill jobs. On the other hand, you have people who, you know, made mistakes or made some bad choices. And, you know, how do you give them the opportunity to get employed and change their life and give them a second chance? So this delivers by connecting individuals impacted by the criminal justice system to stable, meaningful employment while promoting local government as quality employers. And you might think, individuals impacted by the criminal justice system, you mean criminals? You want to give criminals jobs? And you know what, I think I'll concede to that point, and I think in order to break this chain, sometimes to break these chains of crime, of trauma or whatnot, is through honest, meaningful, stable employment. And so that's in public sector as well, where you can get that stability. I think through work, I don't think it's a radical idea to help people get jobs, to put people to work. And that means through the public sector, especially as we're having trouble filling positions. And so with that, though, that means there are risks. It's not just like, hey, we're going to hire and that's it, and it's going to be perfect. No, there are serious risks that you have to consult with your counsel or HR. And risks depend too on the individual, their record, the job, the culture, the environment, but you have to be honest and open and have those discussions. There are barriers. You know, sometimes that may mean your application process, that might mean some legalities, but you have to also address those barriers. But most importantly, I think one thing that can hinder all this, if you were to try to explore this idea of giving people second chances or giving people jobs, is the biases. And like I said, I can hear it already. Oh, the city's hiring criminals, the city's doing this. And those biases can hinder all that. And so when you think about biases and giving people who have been impacted by the justice system, who have records, who, you know, made these mistakes, these biases are real, but I do want to share, and next slide, please, is I am a justice impact individual. I have a record. I've made mistakes. Today I stand before you as an elected official, but it wasn't always the case. And as much as I would like to say that I, you know, did this all on my own, that'd be lying to myself. You know, I had a very strong support network, which not many people do have, and how do we connect people to those support networks like I had the privilege to have, as well as just pure luck. I did get lucky, and how do we get policies in place, processes in place to ensure that those individuals that may fall through the cracks don't have to, like me, rely on luck. Because it's not lost on me when I first got hired in the public sector. You know, my boss did pull me aside and she said, listen, you know, we did hire you and we know you're not going to be here long. I think at the time it was like 25 cents more than the minimum wage. So you know you have a family to provide for, so you know you're going to look elsewhere. But if you do apply elsewhere, just know that your background did come up. And, you know, we know you, and so, you know, it doesn't hinder us, but someone else may not. And that may even prevent you from even getting an interview. And so that got stuck with me. How many people were like me who, you know, did apply, who were trying to get a job, but because of, you know, they didn't know them or they didn't have a support network, fell through the cracks. Because if I didn't have those lucky breaks, if I didn't have those chances, I may not be here today. And so that's not lost on me. And how do we get those people? Sometimes people need another opportunity. Sometimes people need multiple, in my case, multiple second chances. And so I think Promise Pathways allows an opportunity to employ those to give honest, meaningful work to those in your community. You're not bringing people from the outside. You're trying to give people within your community another chance. Next slide. The third thing is communication continuum. The local government employee is multitask or graphic design. I think every government employee can attest to wearing multiple hats. Very few do one thing. They're tasked with the crisis communications. They're tasked with strategic planning. You know, the local government employee has to do so many things that really sometimes go unnoticed. But above all, every local government employee is, next slide. Oh, next slide, please. Is a storyteller. Every one of your employees is telling the story of your city, is telling the story of your workplace. Every government employee is essentially your public information officer. And they're telling the story sometimes directly, hey, I hear a selfie at work, or, you know, maybe a complaint on Facebook, I don't know. But they're also even telling it indirectly. You know, for example, you could be at a football game or a soccer game, and two people could be in front of you, and they're having a conversation, and one might say to the other, hey, you know, you work for the city, what's going on down your street? And they say, the one will say, I don't know, the city doesn't tell me anything. This person is going to think negatively, oh, they don't, what's going on in that city? The person behind them who wasn't even involved in the conversation, was just being nosy, is going to run back and say, hey, you know, I heard two people talking, one was employed by the city, they don't even know what's going on. What is going on? And so every employee is telling your story, directly and also indirectly. Next slide. So with the framework and the mindset that all local government employees are communicators, they're telling the story. And so that means investing. That doesn't mean money. That can even mean simply information of what's going on and what do you plan on doing. So that, like I said, the investments doesn't pertain to financial. It also just is that time and that effort to inform your workforce of what's happening in your city and where your city is going. Because a lot of this miscommunication, misunderstanding builds that mistrust, right? Sometimes people don't understand what cities do or employees do. And that misunderstanding where sometimes a reflection of some of the politics that might impact those that are actually working. And so, you know, you really have to get that framework of your employees are communicators. And so that also means focusing on emotional intelligence, communicating with your employees in a way they understand, and communicating with the public in a way they understand. Depending on, you know, what audience you're targeting, or if you're talking to parents or grandparents, or different, like I said, different demographics, right? Bilingual, bicultural community, you know, so ensuring that, you know, you're not just like dumping information, you're giving it a way that they can digest and they can understand they're a human that's trying to figure out what's going on in the city as well. I think if you build that inward pride, within your city, you can build that outward trust. If people are proud to go to work, you know, the people from the outside looking in, you know, they can say, hey, I don't care what's being said. I know them. They're happy to work. They're proud to be where they're working, and I trust those decisions that are being made. So if you focus on the inward pride within your workforce, you can build that outward trust within the community, and that just can pay dividends down the line, especially when it comes to communication and addressing that public trust as well as employee morale. Next slide. So now what? Well, there's policies. Oh, I'm sorry. Next slide. Sorry. So there's policies. Oh, next slide. I'm sorry. Next slide. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So policies, self-assessment. Once again, you can put in policy self-assessments and quarterly, biannually, annually, or informal, formal. There's fair chance hiring. There's different initiatives, banning the box. But there's ways. How can you give people a fair chance at even applying? And that might mean even reviewing your application process. Is your application accessible, understandable? If you were to apply for your city, how would you see that? Is it easy? You know, is it making it open to as many applicants and qualified people as you can? And then reviewing leave and time off. I think obviously financials and people want increases, but sometimes with budget constraints, that's a difficulty. So it might be making viewing time as money and time as a currency. And that means maybe additional time off, maybe different forms of leave, but being creative also with your benefits. I think if everyone has the same benefits, how can you compete? And so this is an opportunity to, like I said, personal time off, family time off, personal hours. There's been different ways and different ideas that have floated around that other organizations have implemented to really get people to try to buy in on and really recruit and retain their workforce. But it's thinking outside the box on how you can incentivize people coming to work for your city or local government. Next slide. Investments, obviously money, time, right? Just taking the time to inform your community, inform your employees, building that trust, building that pride. Training, I do encourage, if there's training locally or outside to send a workforce and send individuals and get ideas and build those networks. I think one thing is not lost is when you build those networks, you find out other people have similar issues and how you can come together and bring some solutions. And so money, time, and trainings, I do encourage that, and as well as the local government 2030. Next slide. Cross-sector partnerships, once again, like I said, breaking down these silos. I think for far too often we're working in different silos, and you got to make sure your organization is coming together to be cohesive, to be collaborative, so they can be efficient and effective. And that means also working across different agencies. I think, for example, Calexico, you have the port of entry. That's the key to so much in our valley. I was in Calapat recently, and there I was in an agricultural facility, and they said 20% of their workforce comes from Mexicali. And so if that port of entry is not efficient and effective, that's impacting the workforce in Calapat as well as their economy. And so these cross-sector partnerships across their valley, across organizations, city, different governing bodies, to really kind of tell a story, and we can collaborate, advocate, and strategize on how we can improve all of us together. And also private sector engagement. I know there's a big emphasis from the state and whatnot on community-based organizations and nonprofits. I'm not trying to diminish. They do play a role, an effective role within the community, but you cannot forget the private sector. Whether industry, whether small business owners, not only do they have access to capital, investments, but also data, anecdotal stories. So you have to, it's also pertinent to really engage with the private sector on how you can improve your services. And and not only that, when it comes to fair chance hiring, private sector does have more flexibility. So even you can establish with the private sector pipelines where people may get trained or have opportunities to get some work experience because of the constraints of working in the public sector. And so really engaging with the private sector and how you can, like I said, just be better. We can all just be better. And then information idea sharing, one thing I'm here for is, I think as elected officials, we go to these conferences and summits and events, and we get ideas, and sometimes we may share with our network or with our city, but how do we share with amongst everyone? And so I hope to start a trend where elected officials, where you go somewhere and you may not be able to implement in your city, but you come to Brawley, you can go to El Centro and share this idea, because I might have an idea and we just can't do it in Brawley, just constraints or whatnot, but maybe it's a great idea for Calexico, maybe it's a great idea for Calapat or El Centro. And so really this information idea sharing is really, I hope I can start this trend can start where we can welcome different officials from across the valley, sharing ideas, having discussions on how we can, once again, just be better and do better and serve our people better. And then last but not least, next slide, I'm sorry. Each other, as elected officials, community leaders, business owners, residents, we have to work together, we have to listen, we have to understand. And once again, ultimately, it's about improving local government, because local government serves the people. Next slide. I'm almost done. Last slide. So one thing too, none of these are my ideas. I spent 3 days with people from across the country, very passionate about local government and improving it, and these are all ideas put forth by them. I was quiet. I'm never really quiet. I was quiet for those 3 days. We met up on Thursday night, and from Thursday night and Friday morning 8 a.m. till the late hours, Saturday morning 8 a.m. till the late hours, we spent all day discussing how we can just make this thing work. And so, in the same way, there's so many amazing officials there, public servants there. I know our valley has the same. And so, how do we identify those individuals? How do we cultivate them? How do we develop them? How do we, create leaders in our community, not just politically, but administratively as well within our workforce? Because I know the same people I saw there are here in our valley, and how do we, come together to really make our valley be heard and respected and acknowledged. So, with that being said, next slide. I'll leave it with this: work hard, be kind. That's all we can do. Just work hard and be kind. So at least I try to do that. So, work hard and be kind, and I think we can go far. And so, next slide. And resources, local government 2030, you can find the plan. National Reentry Resource Center has some really grants. Biden-Harris administration has some grants regarding Promise Pathways. Mission Square Research Institute data. California State Training Institute resources and training portal. I've taken part in those trainings. Crisis communication, public information. But that's a really great resource that the state utilizes, sometimes local training, sometimes statewide trainings that can help you improve communications. And then engaging local government leaders it's a group, once again, of public sector employees just trying to make things better. I'm part of it, and so check that out. It's a really great networking opportunity. And then GovLove Podcast. So GovLove Podcast, it's a podcast where they don't interview politicians, they interview employees of the public sector, and I've learned so much from that, and from across the country. So if you listen to podcasts like I do, besides Que Pasa Calexico, right? You should check out GovLove Podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, but it's a really great resource as well. Next slide. That being said, thank you. I do really appreciate this opportunity to share this here with Calexico, and like I said, my name is Gil Rebla. I'm a Brawley City Councilman, and like I said, it's been an honor to be here tonight, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward. Thank you.
If I may. Thank you, Mr. Revelar. I know you and I had a brief conversation about, your experience in attending this conference, and I think it has a lot of value. I know maybe we sat through this, and it's like, why do we have to endure these presentations? But it does have a lot of value. It does have a lot of applicability. I think it has a lot of truth also in what it is to be a public servant, and to make sure that our public servants, really, us as public servants understand, our job, and make sure that, we collaborate. I think something that you said that I have always believed in is collaboration. It's not just about Calexico, it's about, the entire valley. I know there are a lot of initiatives, going on. We need to get behind those. We need to collaborate. We need to work with each other, not against each other, or in silos, as you said it. But again, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for, providing this insight, and I look forward to maybe sharing this with the staff, maybe getting some feedback in the community too. I think the community, most of all, is the one that, really drives this agenda, and we work for you. So, but thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Presentation by Noel Leon.
We have some slides. Good afternoon, or good evening, Mayor Romo and City Council. Thank you very much for allowing us to present to you today, and thank you, citizens of Imperial Valley, and especially Calexico. My name is Paul Leon. I'm a public health nurse, and this is Terry Campbell. She's our COO, and Elizabeth Saldana. We represent National Healthcare National Healthcare Advisors. We are a group that we consult to health plans in and around California and a couple other states. So we actually have been working in Calexico and the Imperial Valley since last summer. So we had a contract with HealthNet, and they asked us to come out and do some training on CalAIM. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with CalAIM, you're probably not, because that is a benefit that the state started about a year ago, and it actually pays for healthcare providers to provide services for people on Medi-Cal, and it's reimbursable. And so we consulted because we ran a nonprofit in Southern California for 25 years, and we ended up serving thousands of individuals, and we'll show you we had multiple sites And we want to just talk to you a little bit about our program and why it's effective and why we would like to come to the Imperial Valley and especially Calexico. So we're NHHA, we're the consultant, but we work with 3 nonprofits. One of them is housing, affordable housing, one of them is healthcare, and the other one is a training program. We have instructors that teach people about healthcare and provide opportunity for them to go into healthcare for community health workers, psych techs, CNAs, MAs. And, you know, this morning we came down from Orange County and we're staying in a hotel up the street, and they have a breakfast in the morning, and I was just, you know, not shocked, but I was just kind of saddened because there were all these nurses, and being a nurse myself, I knew they came from somewhere else to serve Calexico. And I thought, wow, what a shame. Why couldn't we train people in Calexico and Imperial Valley to stay here and work? And so there was a lot of people that came in and worked. And so part of the program that we run is not only housing and healthcare, it's also workforce training. So next slide, please. So about 20 years ago, we came up with a program, and it was called Street to Home. And it basically looked at cities and communities and said, what programs are they missing to take somebody who is unstably housed or losing their housing or is couch surfing or is in a nursing home, and how do we bring them along to get into permanent, stable housing? And so we came up with this program. For the health plans, what we would do is we would go into communities and we would assess the community and see where are there gaps in services. And so we did that in Calexico. We've been here since last summer. And so what we noticed, obviously, is the hospitals aren't really providing the services for all the residents here. Many of the patients that we saw through street medicine, we had to send them to San Diego or somewhere else to get some type of care. And we actually did that. We took 2 or 3 residents that lived here, and they are now in San Diego receiving specialty care, and then they're coming back here, hopefully to get permanent supportive housing. So as we worked this last year to do this program, the first thing we did is go to all the people that were doing programs here, that were providing care, and we asked them, what are your needs, what are your challenges, what are your gaps in services? We met with the health department, behavioral health, and obviously knew what we did, and they knew who we worked with because we have a long history of doing this. And so to the person, and today we met with the Agency on Aging, and to the person they said, yes, we need these services. We can only go so far. There's only so much that we could cover. And so we talked to everybody here, and we realized that there are some gaps in services, and the importance is to talk to the community, because we learned 20 years ago, you can't go into a community and tell them what they need. You really have to be there, live there, hire people that are here, and have them tell you their needs. And so that's what we started to do a year ago. So next slide, please. So there was a continuum of care, and it starts with outreach to all these services that you can see. Everything from, medical respite, which is our core competency. And for those of you who don't know what it is, if somebody's in the hospital and they're discharged, they may not be stable enough to go back to their home or have a home to go to. Medical respite takes them in for about 6 months, and we connect them to housing, we make sure that they understand their diagnosis, and then we move them into permanent supportive housing. So, and you can see the whole list of things we do from short-term, mid, and then long. Now, we don't do all these services in all the cities, but for example, in Long Beach, Long Beach, California, and I'll show you this slide in a second. There, you know, we're just overrun with people that are inebriated and on the street. So in the facility, they have a sobering center where the police department and fire bring an individual in. We actually work with them. They stay there for a little bit, and then we either try to get them into recovery or they go back to where they came from. But it really cleans up the street. It saves the police and fire from having to stay in the ER or have to take them to jail. So that's just one of the programs. But you can see there's elderly care and there's mental health and dementia. One of the fastest growing population of homeless that's really ran rampant is women over the age of 65. That is the fastest growing population. Prior, 5 or 6 years ago, it was veterans coming back from both wars. They were the fastest growing population. But in the US, we've done a fairly good job of placing those veterans. We haven't even started on placing seniors. So these are some of the programs. The next slide just shows you there's an integrated services. All the nonprofits that work with us, they hand off either clients or patients to each other. So it's a warm handoff. Next slide. So just briefly, we'll show you our urban model, and one of the models that is our flagship right now. And the next slide, it's in Long Beach, California. But actually, these are the 5 campuses that we have right now that are running in our rural areas. Our flagship is Long Beach. Next slide. So Long Beach Community Care Center is actually a hospital that we purchased, and all those services are in this hospital, including permanent supportive housing around it. Next slide. Those are some of the services that are in there. Next slide. So obviously, when we worked with HealthNet, they identified 2 rural areas, Central Valley and Imperial Valley. We chose to come to Imperial Valley, and the reason being because the need was the greatest. And we were pretty familiar because we had 3 free clinics in San Diego. So we brought in 2 physicians, 3 nurse practitioners, and a lot of MAs, medical assistants, and CNAs that we hired locally. So those are the type of things that you need to do in a community, or that we choose to do, because we couldn't come from Southern California or from Orange County and work here. You have to live here and work here. So this rural model is one we started in connection with HealthNet and are proceeding forward. So again, these are the 2 areas that we looked at for a campus. Next slide. And the rural areas, basically you have a hub, which is a medical respite. And we're looking for sites now that would be appropriate to put a medical respite in. Out of the medical respites that have been there, they have been there 20 to 25 years, and we had 0 complaints. As a matter of fact, people don't even know they're there because it's a facility that it looks like a nursing home or a medical facility. And it's staffed 24/7, 365 days of the year. And that, we call that the hub. But we also can go out in a 200-mile radius to see people that are in their homes. And again, it's a Medi-Cal benefit. We bill Medi-Cal. And so, the opportunity, especially for rural areas, is really important, because every year, rural areas leave so much funding on the table because they don't have enough providers to do the services. Next slide. And that's one of the ideas of the spoke. Next slide. So that's the medical part, but what about the housing? The other half of what we do is housing. So we do affordable housing. We work with developers to build affordable housing. One of the newest technology is modular housing, but this modular housing is a little special in the fact that it's made of a polyurethane, and this site happens to be in El Monte, It has 26 units. And it's like a big igloo. When you shut the door, whatever temperature that's inside, it stays at. So you need very little electricity. I was up in LA, it was 103 degrees. Nothing for you guys here, but it was hot. And it had a small little air conditioner. I was freezing because when they shut the door, whatever that temperature, it stays at that. The electricity's on top, the plumbing's on the bottom. It has been approved by HUD for vouchers, and FEMA is buying quite a few of these, but we partner with them, so we have the ability to have a manufactured probably in Calexico and then assembled here. So if you look at the next slide, it will show you the insides. I would live in one in a heartbeat. They're really nice, they're efficient. For seniors, it's perfect. It doesn't have to be that big, and extremely affordable. This could be erected in about, I think 48 hours is probably the quickest they could do it. You put down the slab, and then it just sits on top of the slab. So next slide. Again, that's one of the things on Life Park. Next slide. Is that it? Oh, I think that's a video. We'll kind of show you this real quick. It's a 1 minute video. If it'll play, it kind of shows you how it's assembled. So while we're keying that up, a couple things that I want to tell you as far as workforce on the training. Currently, California needs 10,000 community workers. We're that many short. We just did a couple classes with 40 people in them to train to work, and they were all working immediately. The other thing that is really unique about this opportunity is we're working with nonprofits. So the nonprofits work with other nonprofits that are here to make that continue happen. And what is really unique about the opportunity that CalAIM provides, 5 or 6 years ago, we probably wouldn't be coming to you because it would require a lot of funding by the city, and now it doesn't because of CalAIM. So we're actually coming in, and we could work anywhere in the state, but we kind of chose to work in Imperial Valley because of the fact that the need is great, and to us it's a perfect opportunity to work with people that need the help. But if you look at the funding part, very rarely can you come into a community and say to the city council, we don't really need funding, we have private and public funding both. Okay, so here's the video on how it's erected. So it takes one forklift and it can put it all together like Legos. This particular site is just one lot. It's one residential lot. That particular facility has been in El Monte for about 2 years and now is revenue neutral. It's paid for and the same residents have lived in there. So that's one of the examples of the permanent supportive housing. But as we're going forward, again, I said earlier that we don't like to just go to a city and say, hey, here we are, we're going to start doing all this stuff. And we've spoken to your mayor, city manager, and we realize that the need has to be created by the residents. They have to want these services and they know they need them. So one of the last things I'll leave you with, like I said, we've been doing this 25 years, but I always feel that you have to come with references. You can't just come to a city. So Long Beach, LA, all of LA, Orange County, Inland Empire, we have references from cities and residents that know us, and we've lived with the people in those places. And, you know, they will tell you that it not only helped their community with healthcare and housing, but we also employed over 500, 600 employees at the sites that we worked. So, so that pretty much concludes, you know, our presentation. And again, we would love to work in Calexico, Imperial Valley. We're kind of looking for sites now that might be appropriate. We definitely understand that these services have to serve people of Calexico. And the first thing we looked at, is the need great enough? And is the volume of patients that HealthNet told us that could be here to serve, are they there? And we've kind of determined in this last, it'll almost be a year that we've been here with the street medicine team working here, that we know that the need is there. So with that, I'll open it up if you have any questions, but I want to really thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us. Thank you.
Okay.
So, questions, Leon. So this is a wonderful presentation. So what exactly, if you have the funding sources, you're looking for a site, what is it that you need from the city, or just informational?
Well, we actually have funding for a site, and since we can bill health plans,
So just information.
You know, we always like to be welcomed by the city, and the city knows where pretty much that they want to have sites like ours, where it could be the most advantageous and the most effective that fits in what the community needs.
Thank you. And just one more question in regards to workforce. I know you spoke to that. If you can just elaborate exactly what does that mean? Is this training for people who reside in those homes, or potentially reside in those homes, or you know, people from the community that can go and get trained in different areas? What's the benefit of that, or what's the purpose of that workforce service?
Yeah, so a community health worker, as defined by the California Department of Health, they started a program to have a community health worker work in the community to help case management, help understanding. A lot of people that go into community health workers have lived experience. The really nice thing about it is the starting pay for a community health worker is $30 an hour. It's a 4-week class. We run the class, but there's others that run it too. Our 4-week class is virtual, and the employers pay for the class. A lot of our employers send the individuals to us. We train them for 4 weeks. They get a certificate, and now they're able to be hired by hospitals, health clinics, pharmacies, and community nonprofits like us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Very enlightening. For me, it's one thing. Well, actually, two things. First thing is, have you approached the Imperial County Department of Social Services?
Yes.
Because we have an issue with the homeless population, and it seems like you're multi-purpose here that you can probably benefit as far as maybe joining us in a partnership with your proposal, and maybe consider that. I was reading I got your business card. I'm going to reach out to you. The reason I say that because I'm part of the executive board member for the Imperial Valley Continuum of Care Council, formerly known as the Homeless Task Force.
Right.
And so I would like to invite you to also to make a presentation if you can in the future.
Yeah. Basically, our population we serve is vulnerable population. It's just not homeless, but it could include homeless. Right now, especially seniors who are unstably housed.
Right.
But yeah, we used to run shelters. We've cleaned encampments that are still to this day really, you know, they're the residents in those areas still come to us and say no homeless have came back to our parks because we were really effective in treating mental health. I didn't tell you also that We have currently 5 psychiatrists that work with us that do outreach. Our physicians and our psychiatrists go out in the streets. That's the model. We don't sit behind a desk. We actually go out and see patients where they need to be seen.
Okay, thank you.
I for one welcome this. I'm glad this is here. I know this council has had some discussions about having a center like this on Cesar Chavez Boulevard, right next to the methadone clinic. Obviously, some residents protested, they didn't like it, but hopefully in this presentation, the community can find it in their heart and their wisdom to accept a program like this, because it will save law enforcement and emergency services a lot of money to take care of these problems on the front end. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments, City Clerk?
This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Our first speaker is Maria Teresa Rios.
Buenas tardes, buenas
Buenas
noches.
tardes.
Mi nombre es María Teresa Ríos, tengo 67 años, soy handicap, para que dé un poquito más. Pues mire, la razón de que yo vengo es porque yo pues soy una ciudadana de aquí de Calexico. Aquí tengo más de 40 años. Yo a los 16, voy a contar un poquito de mi historia anterior. A los 17 años yo trabajaba en un banco que está en el ejido Puebla. Yo caminaba todo Palaco hasta llegar a esa parte, ¿verdad? A los 18 años, gracias a mi padre, nos dieron ciudadanía y me vine para acá. Entonces, ahorita Palaco y el ejido Puebla están grandísimos, es otra ciudad. Y desde entonces, desde mis 18 años, o desde antes de niña, yo conozco Calexico. Calexico es lo mismo, o está peor. De la Walmart a la línea. De allá, donde está el basurero o las casas de la escuela Willy Moreno, acá. Eso es Calexico. Ya no es una ciudad, es un rancho. Ya se cambiaron los papeles. Palaco está grandísimo, antes era una calle, ahora aquí es una calle, la calle Imperial, y no es una ciudad esto. Yo tengo ojos, yo no sé de política, no sé de finanzas, no sé de nada, pero tengo ojos y yo vivo aquí. Y son las mismas calles, ya más bien se está acabando. Acaban de hacer un video de un pueblo fantasma. Ese pueblo fantasma no lo han hecho ustedes, no lo han hecho nosotros. O sea, no vengo a culpar a nadie, ni vengo a señalar a nadie, porque ni los conozco. Yo conozco mi ciudad y yo me considero aquí, ¿verdad? Entonces, las callejones están peor que Mexicali. La ciudad, las calles de Calexico, olorosas a orines. Yo no tengo nada contra los hombres, pero estas personas están invadiendo la ciudad. El otro día ahí en donde está el Banco de América, fui a hacer unos trámites, estaba un señor ahí bien plantado en 2 parkings. Si yo me pongo mi carro, a mí me multan, si no le echo dinero. El señor duró 2 días allí, no podíamos ni pasar, oliendo a orines. Esta ciudad huele a orines. Eso que está allá, en eso que te tomaron ese video, lo hacen los homeless, lo queman, lo desbaratan, lo destruyen. Pero ustedes tienen que limpiar, o sea, no sé, la ciudad, el concilio, No sé quién lo tiene que limpiar, alguien. Y que se le cobre al dueño.
Thank you. Señora Teresa, se acabó el tiempo.
Ah, a mí sí se me acabó.
Son 3
A mí
minutos.
se me acabó y las personas duraron un montón.
Es que
Y a mí se me acabó. Ok, yo nomás digo una cosa. A mí no me importa si aquí gobiernan faldas o pantalones, pero que gobiernen y que limpien.
Next speaker is Maria Cabuto. Maria Cabuto.
Muy buenas tardes. Miren, nosotros somos bailarinas del grupo Jericere, bailamos danza, polinesia, hula, iori y tahiri. Estamos planeando un viaje a Tahiti, a la isla de Rairioroa, en donde vamos a hacer una participación. También vamos a tomar una clase de bailes de la cultura polinesia y de pinturas de pareo. Es para nosotros muy importante porque queremos involucrar más a nuestro conocimiento sobre la danza en nuestra comunidad y con nuestras familias. Y es por eso por lo que hoy venimos a pedir de su apoyo, ya que es algo costoso. Este nuevo proyecto, el viaje lo tenemos planeado para noviembre de 2025 y queremos iniciar a sacar fondos. Gracias por su atención. Muchísimas gracias.
Next speaker is Jesús Solano.
Jesus Solano, 426 Rosemont, Calexico. Good evening. This question is directed to the council, but this is a legal question, and I need the attorney to answer. As you are aware, we just had a election yesterday, April 16th. I understand that the county is still counting the ballots. It'll take a few days, okay? There's a lot of questions within the community. There's concern, what's the due process, what's the protocol, what's coming down the pipeline, okay? So there's a great concern, so we want to know exactly what's happening and what's going to happen at council level too. And my concern is, are you updated, what's coming down, and has our clerk been advised what's the due process? That's a simple question. And we are the taxpayers, we are your boss, and we consider you need to tell the community what's coming down the pipeline. Okay.
Mr. Solano, you want to know what's the next process?
Yes.
So maybe I can refer to legal. Are we allowed? Because we did get an email from that matter, but I don't know if we're allowed to speak on the matter or not, but I know we can at least get an idea, right? Can we do that?
There's public comment at some point. Council can provide information, the city can provide information.
Can I talk about that in my comments section?
You have the ability to comment
Okay.
on items
Carlos,
that
please,
you're perfect.
It would be nice. What's the next step, right? I mean, we need to know. All right.
If they don't break the rules, they can
Okay.
go to the
Okay.
report.
That's good. Fair question. Thank you. Right.
Okay.
Next speaker is Jesus Manuel Solano.
Jesus Manuel Solano, 426 Rosemont Street. I'm just here to thank everybody who supported RICO in one way or another. Contributions, just labor, by their votes. I'm here to publicly say, give a thank you as a citizen. We need a change, and we're gonna have it. Échenle ganitas allá arriba, por favor.
Next speaker is Graciela Batani.
Hello. My name is Graciela Batani, and I reside in Calexico, 1117 East 2nd Street. I actually wrote something, it's going to be less than 3 minutes, but I do want to say that Councilmember Mr. Camilo and Javier, I've never seen you guys in a better mood than I have today. So let's keep that positivity going. Today is a sad day in Calexico for clear reasons. Those who are corrupt, hateful, resistant to progress and inclusivity have emerged allegedly victorious. This setback discourages younger generations from pursuing politics, hindering their ability to enact real change, promote transparency, and improve our city. It's disheartening to witness hate, violence, discrimination, and especially bullying perpetrated by individuals much older than myself. Having grown up in Calexico, it's painful to see figures that I once admired welcome transphobia and prioritize power over our community welfare. Calexico is now divided, and I express my gratitude to Maritza Hurtado, her bodyguard, Mr. Solano, and their supporters for contributing to this division. Their actions have created an unsafe environment for the LGBTQ community, younger generations, and many others in our community, causing mental and physical harm. As a resident of Calexico, I'm not done. As a resident of Calexico, I'm saddened to witness the tarnishing of our city by these individuals. I urge them to consider their consequences and their actions to work towards improving Calexico. It's now their responsibilities to fulfill the promises they made during the recall of our council members and finish what they have started. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jocelyn Moreles.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn, resident of the Imperial Valley, member of Imperial Valley for Palestine. I just wanted to say, Member Garcia, I just heard you mumble briefly this. If you're gonna say yes, you have to say yes with like your heart. 2 weeks ago, the city of Nogales, Arizona, unanimously passed a ceasefire resolution for peace. Ellos sí tienen corazón. I had prepared something for today for the item that was removed, so I'm just gonna go briefly through it. Today is Palestinian Prisoners Day, commemorated around the world. Currently, 9,400 Palestinians are held in the Israeli prison system, 200 of them children, 74 of them women. Can you imagine children that are being held in prison? This boy, age 12, Nirman Rim, was shot at several parts of his body, tortured, withholding his medication, being electrocuted, being attacked by dogs, regularly beating on his face and chest while being held hostage by the occupation. Israeli hostages also suffer similar fates, along with the civilians in Gaza. Relentless bomb strikes, a siege with little to no access to food, farmers on the outskirts being persecuted. On December 15th, 3 Israeli hostages, ages 25 through 28. I had written down their names, but due to the time, I'm not able to pronounce their names. But they were shot to death because they were being mistaken by Palestinian men while waving a white flag of peace. The violence and the abuse spares no one, not one of us who watch from our phones, not the ones who stay silent or ignorant. Los indiferentes no pueden ser inocentes, the indifferent cannot be innocent. A 5-year-old, Sally Abu Laila, was shot in the head and killed earlier this week while being carried in her mother's arms. A bomb was dropped on a playground 2 days ago. 20 killed, 11 of them minors. You don't kill 15,000 children in self-defense. This is not a Palestine versus US, Israel. It's humanity versus the normalization of genocide. Genocide powered by artificial intelligence, BlackRock, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Vanguard, Google, celebrated by the people who still believe in the lies and manipulation of the media, blinded by hate. Thanks.
Next speaker is Leslie Lara.
Hi, my name is Leslie Lara. I'm resident of Perro Valley. I am coming to speak also as well about Gaza and particularly the children. And this does have to do with it because our money goes to pay for killing children. So though Israeli officials claim that this is a war in self-defense against the Hamas leaders of Gaza, the official death toll tells a different story. According to the Ministry of Health in Gaza, the death toll for children stands at 14,000. 14,000 children, while the overall total death stands at 30,000. That means that the children account for 44% of Palestinian deaths, according to the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics. The number of injured children stands at over 12,000 to this date. UNICEF estimates that there are 17,000 orphaned or displaced children since the beginning of this conflict. Is that okay for 17,000 children to be orphaned because our money pays for them to be killed? According to the Save the Children, 100 children die each day without a definite ceasefire. Those children who survive the attacks on their homes are left without family. There is a new acronym in Gaza since the war began. WCNSF, Wounded Child, No Surviving Family, which means the child is the sole surviving member of their family. According to the United Nations, more than 27 children have died of malnutrition and dehydration due to Israel limiting the amount of humanitarian aid, which includes food, water, and life-saving supplies. These are 27 kids that starved to death. The United Nations has called for a ceasefire in Gaza, stating that the state of Israel was deliberately taking actions such as blocking and restricting humanitarian aid, which appear to be calculated to bring about the physical destruction of the Palestinian children. 1 in 3 children under the age of 2 are now facing acute malnutrition. That means mostly everybody. The Palestinian Ministry of Education has reported that 378 schools in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged since October 7th. This is what our money is doing. I wish that we could have the children of Gaza here to plead their case, but it's not possible. Instead, these are words from a Palestinian child, name unknown, whose video became viral on social media back in November of last year. Why us? I'm a Palestinian girl and I want to talk about what's happening to us. What we are living in is complete destruction, to the point that we are seeing body parts under the rubble. Our family members are pulled out from under the rubble as body parts. We just want to say to all the Arab countries to intervene in the war. We are done. You killed my people. Nothing is left of my people. What's left of my people? What's left? We want our freedom like all other Arab children. We want our freedom. We want to live like they do. Why us? Why? Why the children of Palestine? The children of Palestine are always buried in the ground. Why? But God is always with us. If you want to intervene, you would have stopped the war by now. Please stop the war. Enough. Everyone was killed. What's left? What's left of my people? No one is left. Do you want to erase Palestine? No one is left. The children are suffering due to this war and are not just numbers. They're humans with dreams and aspirations just like our own children. This is what our taxpayer money is doing.
Thank you.
Abdel Hamad.
Hi. Good afternoon. This is my first time ever to a council meeting, so I wasn't really prepared. I only had one thing to say, is that, are you people okay with what's going on? It's like, this, my bad, I'm sorry. My name is Abdul Hafiz Hamad. I live here in Calexico. I am Muslim. I am Palestinian. So going back to what I was saying, are you guys okay with what is going on? Is killing children a normal thing? Why does the money that we pay go to killing them? My cousin, back when I was 13 years old, when I was in Palestine, was shot. He was 15 years old. He was hanging out with his friends. Shot 7 times. Why? Because he was having fun? So, everyone says October 7 this, October 7 that. What about the 70 years before that? Like, is everyone just going to ignore what happened? Not just my cousin. Last week, back in my hometown, a 17-year-old kid going to the high school that I used to go to was killed by Israeli soldiers. My younger brother is in that school. So I would ask you, please ask for a ceasefire and do not ignore this. Do not ignore what is happening in Gaza or in Palestine. Ceasefire and stop this war, please. Thank you.
Diana Noricumbo.
Diana Noricumbo, 1068 Via Barranca. I'm going to read a little resolution that we, the citizens of Calexico, made on our own. Resolution of the citizens of Calexico. Whereas the citizens of Calexico organized to hold their elected officials accountable. Whereas the citizens of Calexico fulfilled their civic duty to ensure their representatives aligned with the city's needs and not their own personal agendas. Whereas the citizens put into use their democratic right to hold a recall of 2 council members regardless of their sexual preference and their accusations of hate. Now therefore, be it resolved by the citizens of Calexico, California, on April 16, 2024, that Councilmember Raul Ureña and Gilberto Manzanares have been fired. Thank you.
The rest of the speakers are on a specific item. I've got 2 speakers for item number 11, and then 1 for 13 and 1 for 16.
City Manager report.
Good afternoon. I would like to join me to congratulate Acting Chief Matthew Bush. He's embarrassed over there. Mr. Ainsa was promoted, I call it promoted, by the city of El Centro as a battalion chief, which is a unique opportunity, and we congratulated him before in the previous meeting. He was a great asset for us, for the city of Calexico. We're never going to forget him. And we have now Mr. Matthew Bush. Please stand up so that everybody recognize you, that he is our acting chief. He's part of the family of the fire department, so we're glad that we have someone in-house that can help us and guide us. All the departments we committed to him, that we're going to help him through the process and everything. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay. ¿Miss Ureña? ¿No? ¿Acá? Ah, Blanca.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Blanca Morales. I am the chairperson for the bid. We have been meeting with the property and business owners to gather their thoughts on what role the bid should play as well to identify what responsibilities of the property owners of themselves are willing to take on. And meeting with these property owners, George Rashid is one of them. I don't know if he's here, but he's been playing a big role in this. With the downtown landowners. I would like to, I know we have not had a bid meeting because it's been hard to get, we're only 3, so it's hard to get a quorum. But I do want to meet with Esperanza Colio because there are current questions here and suggestions that range from easiest to hardest. Number 1 is 2 trash pickups per day of the city's trash bins in the downtown area. One at 12 noon and the last one at the early evening at about 4 p.m. Weekly cleaning of the trash containers and removals of any graffiti on them would also be very helpful. 2, lighting as done on the corner of 2nd and Rockwood. The same type of lighting and weightage for the corner of Heffernan and 2nd Street that would light up that part of the town, makes the downtown look more appealing. Steam cleaning of the sidewalks. If 2 blocks were steam cleaned every other day, the downtown would look very nice. The merchants do sweep and do basic cleaning outside their front stores. However, we do need a company to clean the sidewalks and steel edges for a little extra that could call the police if suspicious of any activities detected. Have the Calexico Police Department enforce and the ticket and no loitering law to enforce that people cannot stay overnight where there are no restrooms and water available. Have people that are camping on Calexico public and land picked up and taken to holdings area where there is water, restrooms, mental health, and other medical services, in which case the homeless can get evaluated and start on the treatment. So the gentleman we had here earlier, I'll go ahead and reach out to him and collaborate with him because we do need his services here. In the near future, we can agree on a 3, 5, 7-year plan for the downtown on what landowners can do and what the city can do to make downtown a more inviting, enjoyable place for residents of Calexico, Mexicali, and other cities of Imperial County to visit, shop again. This could result in additional tax revenues for the city of Calexico. So I know Gil left, but thank you for shopping at our Calexico downtown. So these are the recommendations that are coming from the landowners and merchants associations. Okay, so thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, city manager, and members of our Calexico residents and the public. Patricia Ureña, Chair of the Community Services Commission. Just wanted to give you an update that we did meet on our first regular meeting of April 10th at the Nene Torres Council Chambers. Wanted to let the council know that at our meeting we had a full quorum, we had a full house, and thank you for those that attended from council at our meeting. But what I wanted to first say is that we were acknowledging our Parks and Recreation staff. For some of you that don't know or haven't had an opportunity to see the Women's Valley News, our very own Jamie Chu is in the front page of the Valley Women's Magazine, along with Ms. Gerardo. And I think the city is very proud of the staff that we have here within the city of Calexico. A lot of great job and a lot of good work that you continue to do, so we're very proud to serve with you. A couple of things that we did at our first regular meeting was we had 3 action items, and one of them is going to be provided to you. Is we had an action item where we recommend the MOU with the Calexico Unified School District for the summer pool program, and that's up and coming in seems like a few weeks. So we look forward to engaging with the Calexico Unified School District so we can provide a really good summer program. We did have members of the aquatics staff here that were present at the meeting. And I got to tell you, you have a group of young men and women who are actually first responders that are getting ready to provide swim lessons to all our Valley residents. And I love the fact that these young individuals have that heart and that passion to provide that service. So the other action item was that we recommended a place for donated work by Eduardo Ayon Gerardo, and we're going to place one of his work over at the Cultural Center. As well as the last item that's going to be recommended to the City Council is discussion regarding a joint meeting with the City Council to talk about park strategies. How can we maybe start working on what's important to the residents in terms of what parks they want to get done, and we look forward to working with the City Council and all of you with great suggestions. Other than that, I want to thank our commissioners that are currently on the commission. We've established ad hoc committees, and I got to tell you, they've been really busy. Mr. Baeza and myself are working on beautification, and we'll be working with the downtown bid group to see what we can do on behalf of the beautification. The senior programs and recreation services is under ad hoc committee with myself and Commissioner Rojas, and Commissioner Pacheco and Commissioner Martinez are working really hard on the murals and the utility boxes. So we have a pretty good group of people that are engaged in that. And then we have Commissioner Iniguez and Vice Chair Garcia, who are working heavily on park requests, and we're going to be able to provide you with a presentation of all the amenities of all the parks, and then also recreation services. And with that, I yield my time. Thank you for your attention.
I think we're done with general comments, right?
I'll be brief. I just want to ask for a moment of silence for a former city employee that worked for Public Works for many years, recently passed away. Our condolences to the family of Mr. Bonifacio Favela. If I can ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. That's it.
Hello? Much better. Muy buenas tardes a todos. Does everybody in here speak Spanish? Todos hablamos español. Español, everybody in the youth group? Everybody okay with Spanish? Somebody's English only? English only. Okay. I'll do both languages. Okay. Nos mantenemos en el idioma del pueblo, que es el español, ¿no? Para entendernos. Hoy no iba a hablar las decisiones de este municipio, de aquí, de hoy en adelante, están fuera de nuestras manos, como nos despedimos el regidor Manzanares y yo misma de este recinto tan sagrado, donde se hacen las decisiones más altas de nuestro municipio. Queda evidenciado en la historia cómo dejamos este municipio en nuestro corto año de reelección 2022. Me inspiró a hablar, me inspiraron ustedes a hablar, jóvenes. Ustedes me inspiraron a hablar porque ustedes son el futuro. Y el futuro es el que gana, el futuro es el presente, es el que se queda. Es ese brillo, es el que sale triunfador al fin. En este recall, en este proceso de destitución se hicieron muchas promesas. Yo quiero llegar a un noviembre viendo cada poste, cada parque arreglado. Quiero ver una ciudad llena de transporte. Quiero ver que baje el agua, a ver si baja el agua. Se prometieron muchas cosas. Y tengo esta expectativa que así como al regidor Manzanares en 4 meses querían que hiciera todas esas cosas, pues de aquí a noviembre son 7, a ver si con 3 meses más podemos cumplir. Y si sí podemos cumplir, yo seré feliz de que el municipio está en mejores manos, de que verdaderamente se limpió el downtown, de que ya no hay homeless, de que hay transporte para todos lados, hasta para San Diego, de que cada parque, cada poste, cada calle, de que ya no hay línea para salir a Mexicali, que ya mínimo esté controlado la situación de la línea y que ya no cueste $1 millón al año. Esas son las promesas que yo escuché, esas son las promesas que yo vi que los ciudadanos votaron, pusieron su fe en el recall para hacer esas cosas. Son cosas que yo también quiero ver. A lo mejor hay alguien más que tenga mejores métodos, pero quiero decirles que claro que aquí estaré. Y a los jóvenes que son el presente, así como lo son el futuro, yo les digo a ustedes, corazones brillantes, les digo, no se rindan. Don't give up. Half the battle is won when you show up. And today you showed up to protest one of the biggest wars in the planet. Kudos to you. I support you. And I will always be here for you. Muy buenas noches.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am going to speak on the letter I received. Everybody received that up here. It was today at 10:45. Now, I am precluded. I'm saying some things because of client privileges, attorney privileges. But I can tell you that we're going to be voting for things that Manzanares and Ureña are not going to be taking part of that. Okay, that's for sure. The good thing is we still got to pay bills. There's families got to be paid, make their mortgage payments, so we're going to take care of that. Okay. Now, without going too much into detail, please be patient. I'm not going to be presumptuous of what the numbers are going to be, but they're in favor. They're in favor of the recall, of yes to the recall. So I can assure you in that. And I am going to give the opportunity to the attorney. He is the legal counsel. He can explain to us. The letter is very, as you can imagine, is very in detail. And I'm not an expert on that. I don't have a law degree. So I'm going to give him my time so he can explain to us in shorter terms. And also I'm going to request to have the letter published so the public can see it one day. Okay? Yes.
Just generally the procedure. The procedure is governed by the Elections Code and the Government Code, so that's where all the timelines come in. This election, because it was a special election, so sometimes special elections when they're by themselves, as opposed to normally consolidated elections, because generally you have consolidated elections with either state or other. This one's a special, so sometimes the rules are a little different because it was solely a special election. But with that said, as you know, the county register of voters is tallying the votes. We do have the initial results. Upon them confirming the tally, then at that point, once at the county level, they confirm that, then at that point, it would come back to City Council, where the City Council itself would certify the election results. For that certification, it would only be the three council members who were not on the recall. They would be the ones on that. The other points that the council member mentioned is that in the government code section, it does provide that between the date of a recall election and the certification, the recalled council members cannot participate in any decision that essentially has a financial impact where the city will be spending money, and that's governed by state law. So for any of those decisions, that's how come tonight on some of the items on the agenda, they will be recusing themselves, and that's why that's going to be happening. In terms of after the certification, that's when technically you would, to the extent the way the ballots are being counted, if that remains, which seems to be the case. Once you certify, that's when the vacancy officially happens upon certification. So at that point, we go from a 5-member council to just 3-member council. And at that point, when you have a vacancy as governed by the election code, at that point, the city council has 2 options: either 1, to call a special election, or 2, to appoint individuals to the vacant positions. And for that decision, they would have 60 days. So that's a general timeline going forward, and some of the information that will help explain some of the recusal that you'll see this evening, and to the extent we have other meetings between now and the certification.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. So the question is, when is that letter going to be produced? Right, as soon as I get okay, you're going to get it. Also, the good thing about it, there is enough on ALPRA funds. We're going to use those where it's supposed to go. Okay. Yes. So thank you for your time, your patience. Thank you.
Buenas noches a todos. I'd like to request the presence, if I may, of the Chief of Police, the Chief of Fire, and Public Works Director, if I may. I have 2 little questions that I may ask to each one of you. They're very simple yes or no questions, if I may. Chief, in your department, would you consider in 2019 your department, to the best of your ability, to be understaffed?
Yes.
In 2024 today, would you consider your department to be understaffed?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Hello. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
How long have you been in the fire department, if I may ask?
17 years.
17 years. If I may ask, would you consider the fire department to be understaffed at the year 2019?
Absolutely.
What about today?
Still the same.
Thank you so much. Ms. Palomir, buenas noches.
Good evening.
How long have you been Public Works Director?
I've been a manager for 6 years, going on 6 years.
Would you consider your department to be understaffed at 2019?
Yes.
What about today?
Also, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. My point is, there's going to be candidates up here in a re-election day asking for your vote to re-elect them. You just heard today from fire, from Public Works, from the police. Nothing changed with their election. Nothing at all. Didn't come from me. It came from the Chief of Police. It came from fire. It came from Public Works. What makes you think when in August they come again knocking on your door and ask for your votes, that now they're going to get it right? Now we're going to get police. Now we're going to get fire. I promise you, this time will be different. We've been here, Mr. Camilo, since 2019. That's where I asked those questions starting from 2019. Where was the support of police? Where was the support of fire and Public Works? At the end of the day, today, they're still understaffed. Still bare bones departments. It's not enough to just do lip service. It's not enough to do lip service. I can sit here and say, I support the police, I support the police. And at the end of the day, we have council members here that didn't even approve our newest chief of police. Mr. Campos, if I can request for us to disclose the closed session votes for the approval of chief on March 20th meeting?
Closed session items are confidential closed session items.
Right. I'm asking to disclose those votes. I'm asking if we can take a vote to disclose those votes.
We'd have to go back to closed session and have a discussion in open session.
Perfect. You can see even today how the community doesn't even want transparency to see who truly does support the police. Who truly. And part of these people is talking to a wall. They don't want to understand facts. They don't want to understand the truth. The Calexico Police Officers Association asked us to open those closed session votes. That's not me. Calexico Police Officers Association asked that because they want to know who here truly supported our new chief of police in that closed session. And I will tell you, it was not unanimous. Not even in public session was it unanimous. So, again, we want to point out all these problems that we all know exist. It's very easy to point to downtown and make sure that people understand that it's not okay. How long has it been that way? Did it start being that way in 2022? Absolutely not. So again, if the people want to start from zero, that is perfectly fine by me, as long, because I do live in Calexico. As long as those things do get done, I'm all for it. But again, time has proven that the current leadership has not been able to staff fire, police, and public works. That is the reality. You didn't hear it from me. This is your own city leaders, chiefs, managers telling you that. So once again, when they come to your door in November, put aside que eres amiguito mío. Put aside that, like, oh, you side with them. Put aside that, okay, you approve of my own personal agenda. Put aside all that. Focus on the work. And when they come to you in November, ask them, why didn't you hire more police? You were here 5 years. You were here 4 years. Ask them that. The resolution that the citizens of the Rico community made, I completely agree with them. Hold them accountable. Porque aquí, it's a 5-person body government. It's not 3. Have some respect for your other council members porque no están pintados. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
If I may, my name was alluded to. Let me just clear the facts. I know people love to state the facts. State your timelines correctly. It wasn't 2019, Mr. Marcinares. And where were you when we had the license plate readers before us? You were the one to block it. You were the one that stopped that. And that didn't go through. And I can continue to enumerate. So let's not be just one-sided.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you.
I approve of the message that the days of the recall is over. Let's bring some civility back to council.
Okay, thank you. Tranquilos. Okay. Just thank you again to the city administration, to the sponsors and people who attended the 116-year anniversary event of our beloved city this past Friday. Gracias a todas las personas que estuvieron celebrando los 116 años este pasado viernes. Gracias a la administración, gracias a las personas que colaboraron en hacer el evento. El futuro de este cabildo es que debemos de seguir trabajando con respeto. Ubicados, ¿verdad? Yo estoy ubicada en el sentido que próxima junta, pues me van a quitar de mayor, no pasa nada, ¿verdad? O sea, no pasa nada. Lo importante es que somos 5 y somos 5 personas que vamos a seguir trabajando con respeto, ¿no? Porque eso va a traer como consecuencia votar bien para todos ustedes. Respeto mucho al señor García como al señor Moreno, o sea, van a venir otras personas, no pasa nada. Vamos a seguir trabajando porque eso es lo importante, ¿no? Y seguir con respeto, eso es lo más importante. Y sacar las agendas. Hay muchas cosas que sacar, gracias a Dios. No hay ahorita problemas financieros grandes como empezamos. Entonces vamos a poder sacar algunas cosas que no se habían visto antes, reparación de calles, reparación de banquetas, en fin, vienen cosas muy importantes. Bueno, dicho eso, me pidió pues algunas personas que han estado conmigo por muchísimos años que viera la oportunidad de que siguiera trabajando porque a mí se me acaba el periodo en noviembre, que siguiera trabajando con honestidad, con respeto y unidos al grupo que va a venir, pensando en cada uno de los proyectos, ¿verdad?, que convienen a Calexico. No siempre en un cabildo hay que votar todos juntos. Hay cosas, ¿verdad?, que son diferentes para unos y buenos para otros. Pero créanmelo que sí, vamos a seguir trabajando bien y con respeto. Y por favor, así como están ahorita, cuando ya estén aquí el nuevo grupo, ¿verdad?, yo voy a estar por allá relegada, quién sabe si para acá o para allá, pero no importa. Lo importante es dar el voto para que las cosas se hagan. Y sí van a poder ustedes estar contentos, que es lo más importante, pero lo mejor es, ¿saben qué?, que no haya esa discordia, que se acabe esa discordia que hay afuera, porque eso sí trae muchos problemas a una ciudad. No crece una ciudad así. Entonces, ya ganó este recall, los felicito, ahora hay que seguir trabajando. Eso es lo que tenemos que hacer, ¿ok? Entonces, por favor. Muchas gracias. Y así va a ser, y ustedes van a ver cómo vamos a ir avanzando, ¿verdad? Y ustedes mismos van a ver si les gustó o no les gustó. Bueno, hay algo muy importante que me permito, Jocelyn, ¿dónde está Jocelyn? Acá estás, Jocelyn. Por mi parte, yo, Gloria Guadalupe Romo, te digo que te pido una disculpa, te pido un perdón. Yo quería haber traído este IDEM 18 aquí y estoy muy segura y estoy muy entrada en todo lo que está pasando en Gaza, Palestina, y todo lo que está sucediendo con Israel. Y por supuesto que me duele ver tanta injusticia, tanta muerte, ¿no? Y mucha gente aquí en Calexico, en varias iglesias, no solamente la católica, otras iglesias, están pidiendo por esa paz. Yo creo que eso es lo más importante. Acabo de estar en una misa hermosísima donde pidieron mucho por ustedes y se está rezando inclusive el rosario diario. O sea, quiero que sepan que el hecho de que aquí no esté esa resolución, les pido disculpas porque necesitaba un voto más. Éramos 4 personas. Esta agenda tiene que seguir adelante y no nos íbamos a poner de acuerdo nunca. 2 votos contra 2 votos es muy difícil. Por eso te pido que lo entiendas, no es nada en contra de nadie. Aquí lo más importante, yo estoy segura que mucha gente de aquí está con ustedes y está orando por ustedes. Eso, no se sientan tristes, no se sientan mal. Si yo, en lo personal, yo como Gloria Romo, con la trayectoria que pueda tener, pudiera yo hacer algo, ayudar, dar una carta, lo que sea, claro que yo lo hago a título personal, pero quisiera pedir una disculpa, no lo tomen a mal por parte de este concilio, por favor. Eso fue lo que pasó y lo más importante es que vamos a orar por la paz. Y eso así va a ser, porque a nadie nos gusta eso. Nunca nos gustaría ver aquí a nuestros hijos, inclusive, en una guerra. Todos aquí tenemos hijos, tenemos nietos, parientes, lo que sea. Hoy estamos, mañana no, lo entendemos. Dios los bendiga. Okay, gracias. Gracias, thank you. Okay, next, consent agenda.
Mayor Romo.
Correct. And for this item, we're going to need recusal for the 2 recalled
Number
council
8.
members on number 8. and number 9, and those recusals would need to be made at this point in time.
Okay, A11, no? A
Item
and
number
11?
8 and item number 11, could those
11, okay,
commit
and
the city
9,
to expenditure
10,
funding?
And 12?
We'll recuse ourselves from the whole consent agenda to make it easier.
No, they can. For consent, for consent, they can remain on the dais. They on the record, they're going to be recusing themselves on item number 8 and item number 11, but that's at the minimum.
I will be recusing myself from all items to make it easier.
It's easier. It's cleaner.
That's appropriate.
It's cleaner to recuse themselves from the whole consent agenda. Otherwise, in my view, you have to pull those items to be voted by the city council members that are eligible. If you leave them, then it's better for them to recuse themselves from the other items.
Yeah, I understand what that is. I understand perfectly well. I've been here for 3.5 years. I understand what recusing means. I understand it. My question is this: if I want to pull one item, which I think we should pull, because the letter that I read, it's going to be a conflict with that, I should pull it out.
If all the items remain on the consent calendar, they can just state the recusal at the beginning. If you pull a specific item, if you pull item 8 and then or 11, then yes, that item they would need to step out.
Right. So it would be only Romo, myself, and Mr. Garcia voting on that.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Voting in 8 and 11.
Yeah. So okay. So having said that, I am going to propose to remove item 11. That's the one I have. I've always said I need more information. I've always said that. So I make I want a motion if you can put that item.
So you want to pull the item from the consent agenda for discussion?
Yes.
Okay, that's different. So you need to pull that. You need a vote to pull that item from the agenda.
Or you can motion to approve 8, 9, 10, and 12, and then we can consider item number 11 separately. That could be a motion.
Right, and just so Mr. Garcia and Ms. Romo will understand what I'm alluding to, is because in previous that information I got from the letter, I need to be discussed in public if I have a conflict of interest, the way it's presented. And I need to put it on the agenda so we can talk about it. You need to know that.
Repeat the motion, please.
Yeah, that's the motion to approve all items except 11.
To pull item 11
Right.
from the consent
For
agenda.
discussion.
For discussion.
Roll call.
Mayor Gloria Romo,
No.
Councilmember Javier Moreno,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
The items that have expenditure of money, we would need 3 affirmative votes. So for those items wouldn't pass.
Separate.
The other items that do have, the items that don't have
Okay.
a financial impact, then the 2-1 would suffice.
Right.
Okay, items,
So
the
if we are
consent
hearing,
agenda 9, 10, and 12, I have motion to approve.
Which ones?
Las que sí pueden votar ustedes.
okay. The motion, the only item,
Nine,
just to clarify, the
10,
consent
and
calendar
12.
was approved already except for item number 11.
It's separate.
That was a motion that was made to,
Except, 8 and 11.
Okay, can you go through
No.
which ones were approved and not approved? Just by list?
well, the motion was 2-1 to approve items 8, 9, 10, and 12. Item number 8, because there was a 2-1 vote, there's no action on that because you need 3 affirmative votes to support a financial item. So that item, there was no action on it. But that,
No, but again, Councilman Moreno pulled 11 for discussion.
Correct.
That's still going to be discussed.
that's next.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Correct, yes. I'm just explaining the vote that just happened. Correct. At this point, now we're going to hear item number 11. At that point, we would need Uraña and Manzanares to step off for this item now.
For
Yeah,
11?
for 11, correct. Yeah, because they pulled it separately. Yeah. If an item remains on the consent, then you don't have to step off. You can remain on the dais, but when it's pulled separately, we now have to require that.
Okay. Entonces, discussion en ley.
That's, we're gonna discuss also. Individually, they're gonna have to vote and discuss themselves together. Yes, we're gonna pull it. We're gonna pull it.
Yes, pero
We're gonna
vamos
limit that one to 3 of them only. I'm gonna, okay, yeah.
Yeah? Number 8?
Number 11.
Number 8.
Yeah, the consent's been approved except, well, with the caveat.
I know. Approve a resolution to adopt and ratify the memorandum of understanding MOU between the City of Calexico and the Calexico Police Officers CPOA. Termin July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025.
And again, this is an item that has a financial impact, and because of that, the government code said you would need 3 yes votes to approve this item tonight.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah, so 2 things. And first and foremost, I'm not against this contract. Let that, because I know there's talk in town that I'm a cop hater. I'm not a cop hater. I want to make sure that your interests are protected. And although I'm limited on stuff that we need to discuss because it was brought into closed session, I want to bring it back to closed session because at that time when we're discussing, I didn't get my voice heard. Okay? Now, the other thing is the letter we all received alludes to this contract such as this, and I want an explanation before I even vote on this. Am I allowed to do that? Because there's a government code that I don't want to violate. Okay, before I even make a determination, I know how I'm going to vote. I've always said, give the police and the fire what they need. I never said otherwise. Okay, it's always been my top priority, and I think anybody can agree to that. And I'm the first advocate for that. Give the police and the fire what they need. Okay, so having said that, I want to make sure I do the right thing because I don't want to be in trouble. Okay, I don't want to violate the law. And then also I read that letter, so I'm in conflict with that. So the attorney, I would request the attorney here present that he can explain that to me, so you can hear also if we're in conflict with that letter. He read it, he knows that. So I want him to explain that to me before I take the decision on that. Okay, I'm just make sure I do the right thing. And again, not against the police officer. I think you should get more money. Okay, but I want to make sure it's a good thing done. I don't want this to come back in because I gave my vote and I'm in trouble because I didn't bring that up. Okay, so that's my question. So, Mr. Attorney.
Is you're referring to the email or?
Yes, because it does speak about any contracts or MOUs with the Calexico Police Association. Remember, we had this closed session before all this happened. Okay, we had our last meeting, so I want to know that. Because it talks about any MOUs with anybody. Not specifically.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Well, you want me to show you
Yes,
the letter? I guess he didn't read it. Yes.
Well, that's just general.
I know it's standard.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you need to explain to us and me, and explain them also.
Oh, we were just saying, no, it's referring the same comment on the email that we sent where there's a government code provision that the current members that are being recalled, that they cannot participate in any action that has any committal of city funds whatsoever. And because of that, the MOU, that's why we had them recuse themselves. That doesn't impact the ability of the 3 remaining here to participate. You're fine to participate on this item.
Okay, and then what happens when we voted in closed session with that vote?
The government code I referenced, it applies upon the date of the recall election until the certification. So that government code section, which is 36503.5, that only starts at the date of which is yesterday. It started yesterday up until you certify it. So during that period, that's where the council members that are being recalled, they cannot participate.
Yes.
Okay.
So before then, they were fine to participate. It's only, it started yesterday until the date of the certification. It's only that small period. It's, like I said, Government Code 36503.5.
Right. So if we vote here unanimously, it passes, right?
Yes.
That's a different Government Code section,
Okay.
correct?
What majority, what numbers do we need?
Three affirmative votes.
Three
Yes,
affirmative votes.
3 yes votes.
So if one dissents, we don't have a contract.
If it's a 2-1 vote, the action doesn't get approved tonight.
Okay.
And just to clarify, every item that relates to an expenditure, either future or current, requires 3 votes.
Okay.
So you need to vote unanimous, and we have items over here that are very, very crucial for you to be on top of those 3 votes.
Okay, so however we voted before the recall, that's annulled now, right? Because of the recall?
It's not retroactive. What you're asking, I know what you're asking. You're asking it because they voted before.
Well, yeah, you're right, we voted before. And now
But it doesn't matter because what counts today is 3 votes.
But it does matter if I vote, but for example, it might matter if I vote yes and they vote no. You see that conflict?
Yes.
Because we voted
but
before yes.
So that item.
This is
will
why it's
not-
in the agenda for approval.
So that contract will not pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
at this point, yeah, because it's for committing of money, ordinances, and resolution, you need a majority vote of the council, and we have a 5-member council, majority out of 3. So you need 3 affirmative votes to approve the item. If it's if you don't have 3 yes votes, then it's just no action. It's not saying that it's not denied. It's just no action.
So do we take that and back to closed session?
Okay, if I may, Councilman Moreno, I thought that you were going to come from a different direction on your conflict, right? I think we were given plenty of information in closed session that unfortunately I know what I can disclose and not disclose, and without getting into that, due diligence was done by staff, which I appreciate that. So with that, I move for approval. Call for the question. My motion is to approve the contract.
I'll second it. I'm satisfied with the answer. Thank you very much. You're satisfied. I think it is so I want to make sure that we're
Yeah,
doing the right
I
thing.
appreciate
That's
it.
all
That's
was.
the reason why I supported the pulling this item for discussion, because I thought your conflict was going to be something different based on your prior, employment. I was thinking a different direction. But again,
Sure.
based on the information that was presented to us as council members to make this decision, the due diligence was done, the staff report was done. I'm okay with that. Rest assured that was done with the best interest of all of you, and of course, the police department. So
Okay, your
I
motion
move to
is
approve.
Accept and
Correct.
second. ¿Tenemos cuántas? 2? Okay.
Michael Gonzalez?
Maybe.
Good evening, City Council. Good evening, citizens. I just wanted to talk to Ms. Esperanza, HR Department, and Finance. Thank you guys for meeting with us in duly, timely manner. I know we've been talking back and forth for a few months now. Appreciate you guys helping us out and kind of taking care of us and speaking with us as well with council. Appreciate the help. Hopefully we come to a resolution today. Thank you.
Okay.
Griselda Gonzalez?
Good evening, City Council. CPOA has gathered tonight for this reason, for you to please vote a yes in approving our MOU contract. Yes votes to the CPOA MOU is essential in maintaining confidence and building a better partnership and understanding between city officials and its Calexico police officers and public safety dispatchers. Action in favor will show support toward public safety. Improving work conditions and salary will positively impact our employee retention crisis and hiring deficit. Please help improve employee morale and mental health. Protecting our community is our common goal, a priority. Let's work together and please approve the CPOA MOU. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comment? Roll call, please. Yes.
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 Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Carlos, and the number 8?
There's no action on number 8.
No action is, okay.
Okay, it was a two, because it was a 2.
Hold on, that one was approved, right?
No,
Okay.
it was 2-1 votes and 2-1 votes.
Okay, number 8 is 2-1 vote. Why is number 8 2-1 vote? Okay, so let me explain a little bit about number 8, because I'm gonna respect whatever vote you have done, but with the following caveat. This number 8 is for the, when we had the emergency for the last storm, hold on. When we had the emergency for the last storm, we have an issue with the manhole that was collapsing. We only have 2 manholes, and one of them was collapsing. If the other one would have collapsed, would have left the citizens of Calexico with an issues with sewer and water. So I passed an emergency declaration, and you ratified the emergency declaration. With the emergency declaration, what we do, we hire immediately a company to fix the issue so the citizens do not suffer for water or sewer. And so if you deny this today, you're basically saying we're not gonna pay that contractor that came and help us immediately to repair that manhole. That's my concern that I have.
And so that motion was made, I don't know if that can be reconsidered. Carlos, if we can go back and reconsider based on the explanation,
The reconsideration vote would have to be made by Mayor Romo, because when you do a reconsideration, it has to be the council member whose vote would change the outcome of the agenda.
So it's the dissenting vote.
So the motion would have to
So
come,
she will reconsider.
because it's her vote that would change.
Yes. Esencialmente, señora Romo, lo que pasó fue lo siguiente, y disculpen la confusión, lo que pasó es lo siguiente: cuando hay una emergencia y hay daños en la propiedad de la ciudad que pueden afectar la salud de los ciudadanos, como agua y drenaje, o como calles o hoyos en las ciudades, mi responsabilidad como administrador de la ciudad es inmediatamente llamar para una emergencia. En esa emergencia yo tengo 10 días para que ustedes como City Council la ratifiquen, y ustedes lo hicieron. Con esa emergencia lo que nosotros hacemos es inmediatamente hablar a un operador, a una compañía, para que arregle el problema y así prevenir que haya una catástrofe. Eso fue lo que se hizo en ese entonces, y ahora nosotros estamos trayéndoles este costo, que fue un total de $149,000, que ahora le tenemos que pagar a esa compañía que nos ayudó de inmediato y reparó el problema. Es por eso que hoy necesitamos que esto se apruebe, porque si no, ¿con qué ojos le vamos a ir a decir al contratista: veniste si nos ayudaste en una emergencia y ahora no te vamos a pagar? Necesitamos pagarle. Sí, quiero también decir que esta cantidad, el Chief Ainsa lo puso dentro de la emergencia y mandó los papeles al Estado para nosotros poder recuperar, si no el 100%, el 75% del costo de esa reparación.
¿Y ese fondo es de emergencia? ¿Esos fondos están por el...?
Ahorita nosotros lo tenemos que pagar de algunas reservas que tengamos.
Pero
y
se
luego
reembolsa por el gobierno.
Lo mandamos a través de la emergencia, de la declaración de emergencia, a la oficinas de emergencias en el estado de California,
Y una vez que, de hecho, ellos vinieron a investigar y lo vieron, tomaron fotografías y todo, y para que nosotros podamos recuperar el 75% de esos gastos.
Por ahorita, Esperanza, si por favor nomás puedes hacer la pregunta en sí, lo que se tiene que hacer aquí.
Votar
Clara y
unánime
directa,
para
clara y directa.
para poder pagarle al contratista.
So, do you want to reconsider your vote? ¿Quiere reconsiderar su voto? ¿Aprobar?
Yeah, so what we do is have her, she'd have to make a motion to reconsider her vote,
Yeah.
take a
So,
second, and then we vote it, and then we reconsider it, and you take action.
Item,
But she has to do it. 'cause
She has to first set the motion to
She has
reconsider
to
her
set
vote.
the motion.
Because she has to, it has to be, because her vote changes the outcome.
Oh, okay, so she just made the motion.
Okay.
Okay, motion for Roma?
So move.
Reconsideration.
All those in favor?
Hay que reconsiderar.
Aye.
Moreno? Okay.
So now we're reconsidering.
So now we make the vote.
Okay,
So now let's do now reconsidered, we're bringing it back up, and now we can take the vote call again.
yes.
That's to bring it back, and then we got to vote on it.
They voted right now to.
Oh, then okay. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was two votes.
Yes.
Okay. Gracias.
Okay, ahora sí, 9.
Yeah, we're back to we're at item 13 now.
Manzanares and Lorena.
Yes, they can come back. Do you want me to, can somebody call them to come back, please? Ms. Fonseca is going to present this item.
Good
Ms.
evening,
Fonseca.
council members.
Excuse me, real quick, Mr. Attorney. Do we have to vote on these individuals? Can we just make my motion and?
You know, we did that one time, and then we
Yeah.
ran into issues because one of the items had some specifics that we had to like clean up one time. So I know last meeting somebody asked, so I think now our recommendation is take them individually because we did run into an issue last time we did that because one of the items had a specific finding that we weren't able to make. So
Okay.
we took them all together.
Thank you. Sorry, Ms. Fonseca. Go
No,
ahead.
it's okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members and people in the audience. We bring this policy, ordinance, and resolution for your consideration to approve. It's, I'll give you a little background of it. It's, in 2018, the California legislature approved Senate Bill 998, the Water Shutoff Protection Act. And this act provides new and enhanced protections for residential water service customers relating to billing and disconnection of water service for non-payment. The requirements of the SB 998, I'll just enhance some of the ones that we'll be changing in our policy and resolution ordinance. One of them is the water disconnections. Currently, the city is disconnecting services when they're 60 days delinquent. With this act, we will move to 90 days. The delinquencies amount for water amount is currently $100, and with this act, it would move to $150 that they would have to be delinquent for us to be able to disconnect. Any payments that we receive on delinquent accounts would be distributed in equal amounts. It wouldn't just hit the water, wastewater, or the refuse. It would be in equal amounts, which we currently right now have to pay the late fees and then the water and the reuse. For now, with this, we would have to do in equal amounts. Another change is our late fees. We currently have it at $13.19. With the proposed resolutions, we would be changing it to a 5% late fees on the delinquent utility bill. And an example of this is if the customer is delinquent with $200 of water, we would only charge them $10 instead of the $13.19. So the customers would have a savings.
I would like to make a motion to approve at this moment, if that's okay.
Second. I have a question. Primero, congratulations, qué bárbaro, hasta que nos van a ayudar en algo. Pero, a ver. A mí me cortaron el agua por un mes, una vez. La ordenanza dice 2 meses. y la vas a cambiar, la vamos a cambiar a 13. ¿Estoy bien?
A
¿O estoy mal?
90 días. 90
Sí.
days.
Sí, no, me parece excelente, pero a mí me la cortaron un mes.
Fuiste víctima de la ciudad.
Ok, 3 months, ¿no? Entonces, 90 días. Perfecto. Ya dije, ¿esto me la cortaron un mes?
Right.
We have a public comment.
Right.
Public comment.
From Giselle Bailón Quirin.
Hi, good evening. I wonder, it's a shame that most of the people left, but I want to make sure to let the people know that the reason that they're talking about this item is because all the pressure that me and my family put, we have to file a complaint with our city right now. City of Calexico is under investigation by the Attorney General and the Water Board. It's an open investigation, and this is the reason that you're talking about this item, not because it's coming from the bottom of your heart. If Esperanza Colio say no, a year ago, I came, I was without water for a year, because my landlord shut off my water. I came and looked for help with Esperanza, with the city manager, which you kind of told me that this was supposed to be in legal hands now. We all know that if someone sues the city, it affects us all. So I was trying to prevent that. And I've been coming for all the year. I was coming here. I was filing complaints. I was seeking help, and I had no help from any of the council members, sadly. At the beginning, I couldn't talk to someone past the window, and then two very gentlemen officers trying to do their job came with me. They couldn't understand what's happening. I want to make sure to let you know that I didn't owe any bill. I presented my contract, but it is stated that I was in charge of the water bills. I presented my receipts. I didn't owe anything to my landlord, and I think this is important because I'm a citizen and resident of Calexico, and we know Imperial Valley is basically full of tenants and landlords, and many tenants, landlords are abusing of the tenants because we have no one or institution to defend us. You need to hire a lawyer. You need to have the money to hire a lawyer to defend you. And when I came, and this has nothing to do, I'm very happy with the results in the recall because it has nothing to do with your personal lives. It has nothing to do with that. It's the way you treated me, Raul. It's the way you treated me, Esperanza. At the time, I was living there with 2 children. I was going through a miscarriage. I expressed that, and Esperanza said, it looks like you choose to be in that position. And it's not true. It's something that my landlord did to me. You are my authorities. I came here seeking for help, and now I'm talking to you. I want to make sure that you know that I've been persisting. I came here, I got no help. I've been coming here for a year. I come not here. Of course, I move out now, but I'm filing letters against the city manager because I don't want this to happen to any other resident, and I don't want this to happen to any other resident. And it amazed me that. You very good know that this is something that the city is under investigation now, and you're not talking the truth with the residents. You're just talking about the other issues with the water, and I want to be fair and said that at the time that Esperanza Colio came outside with me when the officers came, I kind of understood because she was in the phone with the city attorney. I don't know which attorney, but the city attorney. He was kind of asking her to reconnect the water, and she was saying, no, because then who's going to pay for the water bill? And I was like, me, I'm living there. I need the water. And you stated no, and you have been saying no since, and I want to make sure that this happens to any other residents. I'm happy with the recall, and I've been praying for really kindful, careful seekers of justice members of the council, and Manzanares, Raul, the other people, council members. I don't know you very well, but I know that you knew about my situation. I was in the newspapers twice. I went to the Imperial Council meeting too. You knew about this. None of you approached me. I approached you, and none of you did. So I'm speaking to the residents now and to the youth, don't get confused. It's not about his personal life. It's about testimonies like mine, that how we've been treated. And I'm thankful in a way because now I open my eyes and I'm gonna keep fighting for you guys, for the residents of Calexico. Thank you.
Ms. Cody, I have a question. Just to clarify, I know you had mentioned there was a 2019 case. Which case was it that brought this item to the agenda? Was it this one or another one?
Per the advice of the attorney and per the investigation, we cannot release any information, but I can tell you this. This situation is a civil dispute between a tenant and a landlord. It has nothing to do with this investigation. So I will ask you to please do not discuss anything more because it's the recommendation of the attorney.
That answers the question.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Can I say something? I'm embarrassed. I'm sitting here. Shame on me for cutting your water off. We should have known better than that. I'm sorry that happened to you. And let me give you a little history of all you what's going on here. Okay, since 2012, AB 685 allows every California resident to have affordable, clean, and safe water. Okay, in 2019, Senate Bill 998, which we're talking about that. So let's not sidetrack what happened here. Okay, it's a Water Shut-Off Protection Act, including Health and Safety Code 116900, which prohibits any city to shut off your water. That's what we did. So I'm telling you something, I don't like the way this smells here. I want an investigation. I want to get a hold of those documents you have there. And I'm going to call the water board. I'm going to call the senator also who wrote this bill. Because what we did, we shut your water off. And that should not happen. Okay, hold on, I'm not done yet. You're a citizen of Calexico. Now, back then, we all here have different information that we had here. That's why we voted on that. Had I had that information that I have now, I wouldn't have done that. Okay, so I want to repay somehow and clear this thing up for you because I understand also is you went to court and you sued and the landlord sued you and you won that case. Judge Jeffrey Jones threw that case in 5 minutes and it's a public record. You can go online and look at it because I read it. So you have a lawsuit against your tenant and you know what? We're also going to get a lawsuit from you. We're sitting here allowing you to. I'm not going to do. I apologize for that. But I think we should do something and not sidetrack it under this water bill. We got to increase our water rates. No, we owed it to you, Ms. Bailon. You had 2 children. You were pregnant. You had cancer at that time too. I understand. You were sick. And what happened? Threw you under the bus. We cannot do that to citizens. So I'm telling you, I want a full investigation on this, an audit report. How did we come about with all this? Now, we are privy to some information because we've been kept abreast on those things. But there's going to be some ramifications that we have to pay now for that. Now, did you according to your statement, you filed a report with the water board, a complaint, and the Attorney General's office as well? Right. So so what happened? That's what I want to know. Who dropped the ball? Okay. And if it was me, I apologize for that because the information I had at that point was not something that I have here. We cannot do that. The law protects you.
Esa es una conversación.
So I'm going to make a motion to not approve this and do an investigation until we get this thing done.
There's already a motion on the table. There's already a motion on the table, and I do want to just have emphasis on what Ms. Colio says.
Well,
excuse me. You've been speaking for like 3 minutes. Nomás para que tengas en claro las palabras de la señora Colio, de la respuesta que acaba de dar, dice, ahorita hay una investigación, no podemos divulgar información de dónde proviene esa investigación, pero, y ahí dice, aguanta, ¿cómo se dice? Dice que le asegura que tu caso civil no tiene nada que ver con esta investigación. Y aquí, nomás te lo voy a decir de esta forma. Un día esta investigación se va a concluir, ¿verdad? En 6 meses, en 8 meses, va a haber una conclusión y se va a revelar de dónde salió esa investigación. Ese día tú vas a tener la verdad de dónde salió estos enmiendas que estamos haciendo. Y de mí te vas a acordar que alguien te está mintiendo. ¿Sí?
We, we on closed session were brought up to us, and we.
Yes, no,
Ca-
wait.
Señora.
Council member, you
Council
cannot
member,
discuss
Sí.
closed
The
session.
state has, the state specifically told us
I'm not
not
going to
to.
talk about the
Okay.
case. I'm not going to talk about the case, but I can assure you that we were getting the wrong information. That's what happened. Now, 2019. When did you get kicked out of the house? What year? Okay, were you living in 2019 at your house?
Madam Mayor, can we call a vote?
Okay. Were you or not? So we dropped the ball. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Okay.
Mayor Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilberto Manzanares,
Manager said that because my name was not in the bill, it was the landlord, then they couldn't reconnect the water. We need to change that, that's what's really important, because this is happening to others, not only me, but I've been persistent, and I'm gonna keep being persistent, and I'm gonna remember who helped and who didn't.
I invite you
Thank you.
a hacer eso que tú dices puede ser una muy buena propuesta. Hay que traerla a Cabildo.
Okay, roll call.
There's
Mayor Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilberto Manzanares,
yes.
Okay, so what are we voting on? First, because I got sidetracked here. What are we voting on?
Motion to approve.
No, hold on, not you. But what are we
To
voting on?
approve the ordinance.
So approve the order?
Yes, sir.
And what are we going to do with her?
Councilmember Moreno, respectfully, I request that you not continue discussing an item that is a civil matter because you put in a city in a difficult situation. Again, we were directed not to discuss anything related to this item other than what is in the document.
Okay, Ms. Gloria, with all due respect, I asked you on closed session and I asked Mr. Attorney if this was any related to that. I was told no. This is why I have a problem with that. We knew that a long time ago. So why are we having this? Now we're facing a lawsuit. And I want an investigation. I want to know what happened.
Yeah?
Irresponsible.
Okay.
Mayor
Okay,
Gloria
that's
Romo,
okay. That's okay. Please.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilberto Manzanares,
Okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno,
No.
Councilmember Raúl Ureña,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Okay.
Just for
14 letter
clarification,
A, no?
for clarification, really quick, just highlight very quickly, Esperanza, if you may,
Yes.
what just passed. How is this going to help citizens of Calexico?
This is going to extend the time for water shut-off in case they are delinquent. It's also going to lower the cost of reconnection or late fees if they were to be disconnected. That's all I can share with you. They can go through the document and
Okay.
tell.
No, I'm aware what this does. I wanted people to hear what a no vote on this means. Thank you.
Okay, 13, letter A.
13A. Okay. Do we have, they're going to open the screen to show you something. As you may recall, on September 7, 2023.
Motion to extend the meeting for 1 hour.
Oh, okay. To extend the meeting for 1 hour.
Is there a second? To extend the meeting? A second by Camilo?
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Sigue con la junta.
No, yeah, 13.
Yes, I'm just gonna show you something right now. As you may recall, in September 2023, we received a grant, an executed grant of funds that were lost by the city, a CDBG program, coronavirus funding, because of the monitoring issues since 2014 were not resolved. We lost our funding, but we were able to recover $611,000, and the state is allowing us to have those funds to repair the fire station number 2. As you may recall, the fire station number 2 has a lot of issues with mold, And so what we did, we presented the issues to the state. I want you to go to the last slides. Go back, right at the bottom. More. No. Up. No, the other way around. The other way around. Continue. It's more, yes, more. Okay, there we go. No, that's like the next one. These are the conditions in which the firefighters were living for 5 years at fire station number 1. Mold on the bottom, on the walls, on the sink, everything. The walls was completely full of mold, and it was mentioned by the chief of the fire chief, Favila, that it was addressed to several individuals that there was an issue. So what I did, and I know it sounds very bad, we sent those pictures to the state, and that's the reason why, even though that we haven't cleared that monitoring, they allow us to use those $611,000. Now, we went out to bid, and in March of this year, you approved a contract for $966,000 to repair the fire station. And during the construction, which is ongoing now you can go up and you're gonna see all those construction things going on. The sewer line was found to be a cast iron, which is the old type of pipe in city that the whole city has, and it's collapsing. That's what creates the sinkholes, because it corrodes and it collapses. So this facility has that type of pipe that now is going to cost more money, $69,000, $70,000 more. But also, it's still an inspection, and then when we submitted the scope of work, it says that it was pending checking the generator, the ACs, both ACs, and the sewer line, because there was the unknown, but we needed to proceed immediately because the state is expecting this project to be completed by October the 31st. So they are under construction now. Knowing that there's more potential expenses coming our way, I called the state and I asked, what other funding sources can we use? Because I don't want to be short, and I don't want to start pulling funding from other projects that we already have approved, because that will be catastrophic, right? So they suggested to submit a grant application, a request for additional funding, of funding that other jurisdictions have not been used. So it's leftover money from COVID-19. So we made the request, but the deadline was Monday. They gave me those numbers last Friday, and during an inspection, they showed us the pictures. And so what I did, I just went ahead and submit the application without your permission. Today, I ask you to please pass a resolution so that I can submit that resolution. And the state is giving us a break to submit the resolution by tomorrow, approving the application, the additional $500,000 request, so that we can address the issues. The other thing that we did also is we remove and dispose bedrooms, beds, couches, kitchen items, everything. Basically, the facility is going to be empty. So part of my request includes furniture and pots and everything that we need to make that facility to function again properly. And the other issue that we have, if you go back to the last picture on the bottom, go to the last picture on the bottom. Bottom. Go. So you see that photo? It's interesting to know that that pad, cement pad, was built tilted, and it has the generator. So the way that the generator works, it has like a line where the gas goes. So if it's tilted, sometimes the generator doesn't reach the gas or the oil or the gasoline that goes in doesn't reach a full capacity, the generator, and it has glitches. And so with this funding, this additional funding, the idea is to fix that so it's not tilted anymore, so it's straight, and so the generator is efficient. They told us that the generator is good, it's a good brand, and it's gonna last longer, but we need to fix it and make some little tweaks to the generator so it lasts 20 years more. So those are the issues that we've been finding in the facility. And so we want to make sure that the firefighters have a nice brand new house with the cooling.
So with that, I move for approval of this item.
Yes, thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilberto Manzanares.
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno,
Yes.
Councilmember Raúl Ureña,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Señora Colio, ¿sabe qué
No.
me preocupa?
Mande usted.
¿Cómo llegamos a este problema? O sea, nadie
I-
supervisa nada, nadie
no es-
reclama
yo
nada.
pienso que no es eso,
Hemos
señora.
gastado un dineral en ese edificio.
Pero eso en todos los edificios. No, ha
No,
faltado
todos
dinero
los
para
edificios,
mantener los
pero
edificios.
¿cómo trabaja la administración con los departamentos? O sea, no es posible, las gentes que tienen casa aquí o lo que sea, digo, tenemos que estar checando que las cosas estén bien, porque a la última hora nos sale carísimo, ¿no? O sea, no entiendo sinceramente, desde que yo estoy aquí, a cada rato que ahora le pasa esto, que ahora le pasa el otro. Entonces, no hay un sistema de verificación, de mantenimiento, de algo que esto se pueda resolver, porque ahorita la ciudad está muy vieja, claro que esas tuberías y todas las de la ciudad van a reventar, como la que reventó en la calle Primera, no se le olvide. De repente, de una hora para otra, se hizo un hoyo horroroso y creíamos hasta que había un túnel, pero no había túnel. Se tuvo que meter pero espérenme, ¿saben cuántas veces se tapó ese hoyote? 3 veces. ¿Cuánto gastamos? No sé, a lo mejor el millón. La cosa está en que así van a empezar, o sea, necesitamos hacer un plan, oiga, de que tengamos mantenimiento, porque la ciudad no va a aguantar un presupuesto para estar haciendo. Ahorita, qué bueno que nos trae esto, que usted va a pedir 500,000, claro, es que esperemos que nos los den los 500,000, hay que hablarle a Padilla, hay que hablarle a Eduardo, o sea, sí, pero siento que estamos trabajando con una cosa tras otra, así nos pasó con los bomberos aquí en la estación 1, costó X millones y entramos nosotros otros 2 millones, o sea, sinceramente, señora Colio, gracias, yo sé que está tapando hoyos a cada rato, pero pongan un sistema, un plan de qué vamos a hacer, porque no va a haber dinero que alcance. Un comentario nomás, pero me preocupa.
Sí me interesa mucho la respuesta a la pregunta inicial de cómo llegamos a esto.
¿Cómo llegamos a esto?
¿Desde cuándo?
No,
Yo pienso que más que
en obras públicas,
es una
cierto.
combinación de muchos factores. Es una combinación de no tener suficiente personal, es una combinación de no tener suficientes fondos, es una combinación de no tener un ingeniero que identifique los problemas a tiempo antes de que ocurran. Pero la verdad es como querer desear una casa muy bonita, pero no tenemos dinero. Así que nos tenemos que limitar a lo que podemos tener. Y ahorita lo importante, y estamos tratando de que cada departamento tenga una persona que se dedique a escribir grants, a solicitar fondos al Estado, porque hay mucho dinero fuera, pero no tenemos esa capacidad. Entonces, el departamento de policía tiene 2 o 3 grants ahorita. El departamento de bomberos tenemos a Josh Para, que está escribiendo grants, que mañana tenemos una junta también.
Entendido, pero ¿desde cuándo? Nomás
Pero
para
es
darnos
así, yo no sé, yo no he estado aquí, pero puedo decir que esto es, de la manera en cómo se ven los edificios, no se han mantenido.
¿Por cuántos años?
Pues parece que
20.
muchos años, pero yo no sé por cuántos, pero yo no he estado aquí como para decir 10, 15 años.
Sí,
Yo nomás digo,
sí.
cuando llegué yo a la siguiente semana, por ejemplo, a la segunda semana, tronaron 3 aires acondicionados del edificio,
Sí,
¿verdad? Nos
en
quedamos sin aire acondicionado. La biblioteca se quedó sin aire acondicionado. La recreación se quedó sin aire acondicionado. Un verano, como 6 aires acondicionados tronaron.
Los
Y
baños
ya lo
con mojo.
reparamos,
Ujú,
ya lo
sí.
reparamos. Miss Falomir ahorita está reparando, ¿cuántos techos, Miss Falomir? 6 techos en diferentes lugares. Entonces, ahí vamos poquito a poquito, pero es mantenimiento, falta de dinero y falta de capacidad.
Claro, gracias. Sí. Espero que con el recall todo eso cambie.
El día que sí. Ok, that's okay. Ok,
Claro que va a
pues,
cambiar, ya dijo.
15.
Arre, arre.
¿Cuál sigue?
Arre, muchas gracias. Ya dijo.
Carlos, 15.
Okay.
13.
That was
No, no, porque
13A.
el 14
No,
hay que
13A we
salir.
already have it. Okay. Number 14, the reason I requested the attorney to limit that one to 3 city council members is because by adding additional meetings, it creates a cost to the city. It's not much, it's like $2,500, but still, I think it's valid for only 3 votes to count for this
Es
item.
14 and 16, ¿no?
14,
porque se van
Correct.
a
So
volver a
Councilmember
salir.
Manzanares, unfortunately, and
Se
Ureña
tienen
as
que
well,
volver a salir
after failure for the
Entonces, déjenlo lo
evaluation,
último.
you're going to have to also recuse yourself on this item as well.
Yes.
Because by revising the commission meeting times, it does incur a fiscal impact to the city.
This-
Ok,
we'll need-
entonces
so we'll need
14 and
recusal.
16.
but would you like to vote separate individually for those?
Sí.
I would recommend you to do it individually, so that way we don't get
How about we
confused.
take those 2 items, one after the other, so that way, they need to step out and recuse, so that we don't have to go,
Okay,
back and
sounds
forth.
good.
Okay.
Claro.
That's a good point. We'll take item 14, and then we'll take item 60, so that way when you recuse yourself, stay for 2 items, and then come back for the remainder. That makes sense.
Okay, so,
Ya,
sí,
ya es
14 and
16.
16. 14 and
Yeah, so we'll do 14 and 16.
16.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. 14. Introduction and first reading by title only of the ordinance adding section 2.27.035 to the Calexico Municipal Code regarding Community Service Commission meeting.
So this was a request by the commissioners to have bi-weekly meetings, and that's bi-monthly meetings, and that's what is an increase of $2,500. We're gonna come back with a budget amendment, but before we do that, we need to go through the ordinance.
Claro. I have motion to approve.
Okay. Second.
Public comment.
Sí, okay.
Mayor Ureña.
Let's do that.
Just got shocked. Somebody's got to work on these electrical units here. Honorable Mayor Romo and Council, Patricia Ureña with the Community Services Commission. I know that there's a monetary amount posted on there, but just to let you know that I want to say maybe there's only 2 commissioners that are getting paid. The rest of us have chosen not to get paid because we want to do this as a public service. Just to let you know, it's not going to cost that much. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sí. Roll call. Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Yes.
Okay, 16. Okay. For allocation of $457,612.50 from Essential Work Program by ARPA for several activities.
City council members, as you may recall, several meetings ago, last year, you approved, in 2022, actually, as the city council members, in March 16, 2022, you approved certain guidelines and programs, and one of them was the Essential Workers Program. You allocated about $1 million at that time. In 2023, we came back to the city council to continue to implement the program, and you approved that in September 6, 2023. And that was $1 million. in November 2023, you pulled out of that $1 million, $80,000 for the fire trucks, pumps to be replaced. So that leaves us with $920,000. Out of those $920,000, we received a total of 1,243 applications. Based on the criteria, which is the main criteria that a lot of the applicants fell, was that they were either working for the government, receiving other benefits from other government agencies, not being a resident, or working in the agricultural field. And the city doesn't have fields, right? So they will not qualify because they're not working in the city. So out of those 1,243 applications, only 858 were eligible, and 385 were deemed either incomplete applications or not eligible for funds. So that left us with $457,000 available out of those $920,000. With that funding, I have been in contact with Ms. Legaspi, library, with Ms. Gerardo at the community center, with the chief of police about his parking area, which is devastated. And also, I was able to work with a consultant that told us basically the server for the dispatchers, the communication system and everything that provides services to the police department and the fire department is collapsing. That server has been there for many years. The police officers, sometimes they don't get the connection. I've been at the dispatching center in times with their calls, and the server is not working well. So we need to assess the issue. In order for us to go out to bid and replace the whole system, we need to do an assessment. None of us are IT department, so what we did, we went outside and we asked for more or less how much would it cost us to do an assessment. And so we were told that it's somewhere between $15,000 to $25,000, $23,000 more or less, but let's say $25,000 because that was by the end of the year, last year. So with this funding, I would like to request your approval for those items. There is also a youth development grant program for $120,000 that it was proposed by Councilmember Manzanares.
So, you know what, Esperanza, I think that this is just God, looking out for us, because this was part of Plan A for our expenditures to invest in our infrastructure,
Yes.
in our buildings, in our dilapidated parking lots. I brought that up years ago. When ARPA first came in, it was shut down. So God is, like I said, God is looking out for us. So now, with that also said, I want to repurpose that $120,000. I know this is a great, and just listen to me. Please don't take it personal, right? On the youth development grant program, I know it's great, it's well intended, it will be a good investment. But after looking at what we just saw from the fire station too, I mean, let me ask you, Esperanza, would you have a use for $100,000 there, pending on whatever we get from the state?
And if you read in the report, it says in the last sentence, it's not an assurance that we're going to get the $500,000.
I just wanted to make sure that you said that also.
Yes,
So
it is in the
we
report.
have this money that is guaranteed, that is here. I want to repurpose that and make sure that it goes to the fire station to continue the work. And even if we were to get those funds, right, like you said, and I want to make sure that you get the furniture, you get, or we can bring it back, reconsider. So
let me just clarify something. The CDBG requires a form that says that we're not going to overlap funding with other
Okay.
funding. I don't want to put this one right now on the fire station. I would rather have it on hold and not inject it to the project, because the moment that I inject it to the project, they're going to say, oh, $500,000 minus 120, so you're going to get 380.
So do whatever you need to do. I know that change orders always come up.
Yes.
Even though I dislike, that's one of the things that I really get upset about it. But
Right.
I know that things happen as you go through projects. So keep it. So make sure
Hold it.
that we continue with that project. So do whatever you need to do, but make sure that this money goes to that.
So with that comment, my recommendation will be, if that's the desire of the entire city council members, voting members, I will suggest just to, if you're gonna allow me to proceed with the other ones, just hold it for now until we come back and see what happens for the fire station number 2.
So let me pick it back up on that. In retrospect, we all know whatever happened with that $1 million was a bad idea, right? That's the bottom line. So the good thing is we have some ARPA funds. And we saw before we start going crazy, what I suggest, that's all good. First of all, I need a staff report that affects all those, because I'm sure the library wants some money. I'm sure the recreation wants some money. I'm sure the fire department wants some money. So why don't we do a special meeting, invite the public, do a staff report, present the backup where we can distribute all that money. We're not in a hurry.
Well, Mr. Moreno, if I may,
Including your 120 for your fire department.
No, but remember that this is an ongoing project. I want to make sure there is enough money to push it through. I know we have a deadline of October to finish it up.
Next year.
Next year. Yeah, October this year, correct?
Next year. If I know.
No, but for this project, for the fire station.
No, the fire station is
Yeah,
October 31st.
that's what I'm referring to. So whatever we can have, so hopefully money will be there to complete it. That's what I want to see, that is, the renovation is completed and they're going to be able to have, the basics that they need. You mentioned furniture, you mentioned appliances, bedding and all of that. I want to make sure that that is there, that we're not chasing.
But what I'm saying is the following. Okay, under the $500,000, I went ahead and injected all those items and I submitted the paperwork to the state.
Okay.
If you allocate this funding for that, the state is going to consider that an overlapping.
And that's fine. I go back.
I want to keep it
just
for
hold it. Just hold it.
maybe all other things that we're going to need in the city. Yes.
Just hold it.
Okay.
That's what I want, to hold
Okay.
it for that project.
For your fire department?
For the fire department, fire station too.
I agree with that.
Or for other.
Or for other, but bring it back. If it's not the fire department,
I'll
bring it back. We have until 2024 to allocate these monies, right? December 2024, for a full expenditure on 2026, right? So again, this project should be completed by October. We should know by then. And if not, we can put it back on parks, which that's another great need that we have. But for now, let's set it aside.
Who's the project manager on that fire department? Because we learned from the first fire department,
So
it ain't gonna happen. So
We have the whole group as doing inspections, and we have Ms. Palomir and myself going to every inspection as
right,
well.
and I know we had at that moment we had an Asian lady came over to give us updates. Right, how we progressing and change orders, the prices, and what happened. Still, the project didn't get through. When we open, it just gets convoluted. So I think we don't get surprises. In other words.
So with that, I believe that
Yes.
there are public
So
comments.
so just to rephrase, you want to approve this item minus the 120,000 you program?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good.
We have a public comment. Calexico?
All right, I'm not touching this, but Mayor and members of the council, Patricia Orena, Community Services Commission, I'm actually kind of glad that we're doing the parking lots, so that's a liability at the community center, at the library, and as well as the fire station. I was a little concerned about the 120,000 for the youth development grant. As a past coach, and I used to do leagues, it was our responsibility to find the funding to make these things happen. I like the idea of holding that money, but I'm here to advocate for the recreation department and parks, that maybe some of that funding, that 120, can go towards the recreation services. We still haven't touched on our seniors programs. I know that they need probably more equipment. And then the other thing is that you just replaced an air conditioning unit at the community center, but you still need one more. And if you don't fix that one, you're gonna pull that compressor. I know a little bit about air conditioning. Then you're gonna pop that AC. So maybe also look at additional cost to replace that AC that's missing over at the community center, because it's not gonna be able to carry all that heat this summer. But I would also like to propose that maybe you could do 20,000 for recreation and 20,000 for parks, so they can fix some of the fencing that Mr. Garcia's been talking about over at Rodriguez. Just a little something, because, Mayor Romo, you said, what happened with a fire station? Yeah, it's like a house. If you don't repair it year after year, it's gonna get rotten. I know the rec department needs supplies, they need longevity type of equipment, and they can't buy it because they don't have the money. So I would, again,